Welcome back to Traveler's PROC. Today, we're joined by the king of the support invade.
Okay.
Neil. But I mean, it's for real. You're the king. Like, you won Worlds that year. That's
Both of them, yeah.
That was like the invade meta. Like, you conquered everybody. You ran through me and Mike in the tournament.
Twice, too. Twice, right? Both of them.
Yeah.
Who started that, though? I feel like there's always, like, everything
Deathwalker.
is different.
Yeah, Deathwalker.
He started the invades?
I think Deathwalker
Worlds,
started
yeah.
at Season 5 Worlds when he invaded Adapting. Is where that was the first time I saw it.
And then it sparked the innovation.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah.
Because I thought, like, someone was saying, like, Jeff Hindla, like, did it.
No.
In, like, a
You
scrim.
guys used to say that. That was you guys who
I
started
think
that.
Jeff just showed up to, like, a speed or something, and we're like, yo, what is he doing? And then we're like, it didn't work at all. Like, the way they did it was really
Yeah,
bad.
it was so funny because
But then we were like,
didn't do it the rest of the
we were
year
just like,
either.
yo, wait a minute. Like, yo,
pretty good.
like, isn't there some maybe some juice to this?
It was like, hold on, maybe Ardio Kuzenbo?
That's funny because like then Jeff was like, I hate this, and it's like he just
Yeah.
created a demon child.
created
He
the
didn't want.
monster?
Yes, dude. He was like, I refuse.
Dude, do you guys ever have that? Like, you pick a character that, like, you don't actually like that much, and then everyone starts playing it, you're like, oh my god, I hate this so much. I've done that with Sobek, like, way back in the day. I don't mind him now, but way back in the day, I hated that character.
That's funny.
I don't know actually. I don't think I've heard of that.
I feel like at this point, I don't really hate any character. I feel like, so it doesn't really.
That's where I'm at too. Like, I used to hate a bunch of characters. Like, I used to hate playing Ganesh with a passion. And I still,
too, yeah.
at the end of the day, he's not my favorite god to play, but I like him now. Like, he's not the worst thing to play, but I hated him.
He's goofy
For
enough
the
that I like-
longest
I like
time,
him.
I hated that god. I hated
Same.
playing him.
Same.
I hated everything about him, but now I'm like, he's okay now.
I think
Yeah.
for me that's like Kepri. Like I like playing Kepri. Don't get me wrong, but some games you're just like. I can't like go in for Plux or anything. So you're sitting there waiting
that was our game
around.
today, I felt
You're
that
sitting
way,
there,
yeah.
you're just sitting there waiting around, and you're just like, if stuff's not happening, you're just like, I can't even really
You're just a
do
guy.
anything.
You're just a big bug.
Yeah, you might
Just
just
bugging around the map.
You're just.
But yeah, I wanted to ask Mike about his mustache today. I saw you made a tweet. You said you messed up shaving or something, and then
I love it.
I've done it. This is the second time I've done it. So, like, the first time I did it was like a couple years ago, and I like had like my beard trimmer or whatever. I forgot to put the attachment on it, so like I went straight up the middle at the start. And I just had a line straight up the middle. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, okay, you gotta shave there. And then this last time, like, I didn't forget the blade, but like so the length, I accidentally did it different on one side versus the other, and then I like tried to fix it, and then it was just off, and I'm like, it's just all coming off. Like, I
GG.
have no other option. Like, it's all coming off. What are you
oh
gonna
my
do?
god,
Pops out of the bathroom. It's a me.
Dude, the best thing about it is, for anyone who's seen, like, I Think You Should Leave, there's a skit in there with a guy who has like basically my hair length. I wouldn't say like long hair, but like it's definitely longer. And he has just a mustache, and there's like a skit where he like tries. I'm not gonna explain it, but he tries out for a play, and it's just a really like troll skit. And now I have a Halloween idea. I'm just gonna do that for the I Think You Should Leave viewers out there.
That's
so
good.
I'll take it.
Easy.
Yeah, I'll take it.
That's funny. I was thinking about, someone said, I was streaming last night, and someone's like, you need to shave and only do a mustache to match Mike on the podcast.
He needs to grow one then if we're gonna do that.
I actually thought about it, but I was like, I haven't shaved in a while, but
it's
I'm
such a big
like,
commitment.
Takes me a lot of time, and it comes
Yeah.
in so like patchy, and like
Yeah.
this kid's in high school with stronger facial hair game than me.
my facial hair game is not great.
Yeah.
I think my like
I like
this,
it.
this
The goatee area.
Yeah.
this looks good, but all this is just, I call this the lazy. I go, this
That's
is for
how I
me
am.
not wanting to shave because I'm lazy. Honestly, I need to shave it because it looks a lot better when I just have a goatee, I feel like.
For me, it's annoying because like when I do have like a full beard, it's not like a full beard. Like, you know how some people have like the straightest line
Yeah.
ever, like right here.
Clean.
Like I can't grow that, and then also like it's like patchy on, not like patchy, but like there's like one missing spot like right like here or something. So it's a little annoying. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. The thing is though too, is I always like to grow my facial hair out at the end of the year, just as like a,
You got a little warmth.
what's it called? No.
When the new year comes, you shave it. It's like a clean start, or
No,
like,
for Smite, like I like to grow it out
playoff beard?
like a playoff beard. But what's it
Yeah.
called? What's that word that you use for it? I'm trying to remember. Like, oh my god.
it's like a luck thing.
yeah,
like
but
what?
what's the word? What's the word?
Superstitions.
Yes.
Yes,
He's
is-
superstitious.
Yeah, superstitious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like superstitious with my facial hair, so I always grow it out at the end of the year for Smite, just for fun.
Yeah, I used to be that way with like, there are weird things to me, like like the like sleeve that I used to have. I wore it like this weekend, but like it used to like actually bother me if I didn't have it. Like when I was scrimming, I was like, this is something feels off my arm. It's like it doesn't feel right on the mouse pad. Like
Nice.
maybe some stuff like that, but I don't think I have any now.
I have the other one that I've had going for the last 5 years is I always have Vinny plug in my keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's still going all the way till this day.
That's
he's like,
awesome.
he's always there. He's like,
It's a
I'm
good
ready.
bit. You just don't even have to
he
set
did
up
used to do
ever.
that all
Like,
the time.
Maybe I
remember
should
that.
start doing that, or like, yo, Vinny.
I did used to have lucky socks too, actually. Like
Really?
lucky socks, yeah. I'd try to
Nice.
wear like the same like sweats, same socks like every time I played.
I don't
But
think I have
It's
any.
hard for
You've
land.
never had any ever in the history of playing?
Not really. No superstitions. I don't think so.
Did you have any when you were like a kid?
Not really. Well, my dad almost had one for me. I used to be like a notorious Coca-Cola drinker, like Coke instead of water, like 3 or 4 a day kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And like before I went to soccer games, I'd like drink a Coke. So like I'd just bring it in the car and like, drink it. And like I remember like when I started like stopped drinking Coke, kind of like go to my soccer game. My dad would drive me. He was there for all of them. He's like, "Where's your Coke at, man?" I'm like, I don't know. It's like not that big of a deal. He's like, "You should get a Coke, man." I was like, "Okay."
That's so funny. He messes with your head for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can't get it in my head though.
Of course, no.
Only
no.
I can get it in my head.
There is. We don't have to go through it, but for the first time ever, I don't know if you heard about this. Like when you were playing Valorant, it's the first person I've ever
man.
the first time ever in my time knowing Neil that I've ever heard him say that guy actually tilted me, and he was being genuine. Like he was genuinely tilted at somebody. I've never heard that in my life.
What did he do to you in Valorant that made you so tilted?
Just queuing like 5 friends, like a bunch of Smite people were playing, and he was just being like really negative and just being like kind of like passive aggressive a bit. And
So
I
like
just,
he was on your team or against you guys?
on my team, like
They were
literally one of our
5-2.
friends.
Yeah, they were
it was like us and
stacked,
like Woony and like a bunch of other people, and just like killing the vibes a bit. And I was just sitting here, I'm just like, dude, like what are we doing here? Like we're supposed to be playing for fun, and it kind of tilted me.
Dude, that's the word. I feel like everybody's like that with like so many games nowadays, which completely ruins it. Like, I feel like when you play games, most people play to have fun, and then eventually it turns into something where it's like you're just playing to not have fun, or you're playing to like just. I don't even know. Like, it's not even like trying to be the best, because it's just like you're just trying to be better. Is like what a lot of people play. I hate that so much. Like, if you're not having fun when you're playing, like you said, what's the point? Like,
Exactly,
why are we even here?
Exactly.
It's so dumb.
I don't know if you guys ever played it, but it wasn't Among Us, but it was a game like that, like
The
before.
before.
It was like no, it was more of like a horror type of one. But it's like that style of game, you know, where there's like an imposter, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And I remember
Deceit maybe or something
Deceit,
like that.
that's it. Yeah, it was Deceit. I remember playing Deceit with a bunch of people, and it was so fun. And then like you get to the point where one person is like annoyed if you don't make like the correct play, and they're just playing for fun. Or like I remember I used to play it with like Alec or Fine Okay. And he would just like intentionally grief people. Like he would know, like he wouldn't be like the whatever it's
imposter?
called, the zombie imposter, yeah, whatever you want to call it. He wouldn't be it, and he would just like try to get everybody killed. Like he would just grief the game.
Yeah.
So I thought it was so funny, but people like started getting really annoyed. And then like, once everybody's taking it so seriously, it's like, come on, like it's harder to have fun if you're being competitive about it.
That's so lame.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Then he sent a quote in our team chat. He's still a little bit of a troll, but it was actually kind of spot on as a faker quote. It kind of to do with like, what are you doing if you're like not having fun? And he said something along the lines of like, people who put effort in are never going to beat people who are like passionate and have passion, right? Because they're enjoying the process and enjoy the game.
sure.
I thought that was like really true.
Yeah.
That's like the truest I've ever heard.
You can't
like,
just try harder than someone who has passion.
Yeah, you
for
can't
it.
fake
Can't
passion
outtry it.
either. Like you
Yeah.
can't make yourself try to be passionate about something.
100%.
Yeah, because if you're not having fun, like you're not gonna. Regardless of how hard you try to get better, you're not gonna keep improving. I feel like.
Agreed.
You just go up against a brick wall at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Up against me.
people that are having fun always, like, I don't know, whenever I'm having fun playing like Smite, and I've had fun over the course of like the last 10 years I've played, I feel like I'm always getting better. And like I always tell people, like, they're like, how long are you going to keep playing this for? Or how long are you going to keep doing this? I mean, the first thing I tell them is like, as long as I possibly can, first of all, because who knows what will happen. Maybe I get bad, or maybe something happens, whatever. But like, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about how I'm playing right now. And I feel like I'm playing good. And like, I want to keep playing as long as I can. And then the other thing is if I stop having fun, that's when I will stop playing the game. Like, because if I'm not having fun, like,
what's the point?
What's the point? What's the point? It's like I could work somewhere else and put in way less hours than I do in Smite and make maybe I could make more money probably putting in the hours that I work or whatever on Smite for that I compared to playing another job working at another job, but like I don't know. I love the game still, and like that's one of the things that keeps me going. That's what I always tell people. So.
Yeah, that's kind of why I took a break at the beginning of this year. Honestly, I was like just super burnt out at the end of the year, and I was like, I'm not looking forward to like scrimming right now. Like the idea of scrimming, I was like, and just not only that, when you're on a team with people too, and you commit to something, like if you're a bit of a wild card, I don't know if I was gonna stick with it for the first split or whatever. Like I can't do that to other people, you know.
For sure, yeah.
So I was like, I just need to take a step back and just see if this is what I want to do if I'm having fun, because I'm the same way. Yeah. Like if I'm not having fun playing Smite, like what am I doing?
I was just say, surely, like it's probably like we've all played for so long. It probably has gone in waves at some point where you're like not having fun.
It's always up and down, yeah.
I think I've told both of you individually. Maybe I've said it on the podcast. I don't remember, but like after season 7, that was like the rival into Ghost year. Like I was so drained, like, and it was so annoying because like kind of like you, like I normally have, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have fun. Like I feel like the whole process of like even watching VODs or like prepping like for sets, like that's like fun to me. Like that the strategy of it is really fun to me. And it was just so weird where like I didn't feel like that left, and I like still wanted to do it, but I just couldn't. Like I couldn't like bring myself to like put in that much effort. Like maybe a break honestly would have been good. I did think about that at some point between like season 8 and 9, but it's such like a disheartening feeling to some extent. But then like the reason like that quote is so true, and it's like anything in life, if you're passionate about it, like that's the most important thing. Yeah. That's also why I hate when people make fun of like, I hate when people make fun of people for trying. We've gone over that before for sure on this podcast. And I also hate when people make fun of people for liking something that they don't, because like you shouldn't like limit people on what they enjoy or what they find entertaining or what they're passionate about. I think it's like that's kind of what makes people unique a little bit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm losing my mind today. I forgot what I was going to say after this. I had a good point I was going to make, and I already lost it. This is like
That's number one for the day.
This is the bit that me and Mike have running every episode. Like one of us just always lose our train of thought.
Dude, you know what it is? Like, I don't know if this is weird to say like during it, but like early on when we had first started, we would like plan the guests and like do a little bit of prep for it. Yeah. But I feel like all of the guests we've had recently we're like so comfortable with. We're like, we don't really need a prep. Like it's Neil. Like we know Neil. We know stuff to like bring up about him. Maybe that. Wait, you gotta. Wait, can they see it?
I don't know.
Oh god.
For the audio listeners listening, that's like they used to use that for the battle sounds of the gods, I think. The buzz in. I think that's what they use that for. It was like the buzzing thing or whatever in the podcast room here.
That's good. Yeah, so normally start of the episode we like to go over, for people who maybe don't know, just kind of your background, like what got you into Smite, maybe other games you had played before, that type of thing, and what makes you?
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is NeilMah. I'm 30 years old. I'm Canadian from Edmonton, Alberta. Pretty much lived there my whole life until I moved down here to play Smite in 2019. But I've been playing Smite professionally, I think, since 2016. I had like a short stint in Season 0 that I don't really count. Unlucky.
You played a couple games Season 1 as well, right? Like,
I think, the Season 0 was Season 1, whatever season it was on Thirst or whatever. And it was a tragedy. Absolute tragedy. You don't need to go into that too much. It was. I have a lot of things to say about that still. Anyways, what got me into gaming, I mean, I have an older brother and my dad, and I mean, we had a computer at a young age, and my dad would always play game stuff I'd kind of watch, and then we got a NES, and I remember playing like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like on that, and like Duck Hunt, and I think a lot of it was just my brother would play. Like I was too young, he's 4 years older than me, so he would just like know the games from his friends or whatever, and he would get games, and I would just play them. I'd watch a lot. A lot of it's like the younger brother, like waiting for a turn, like getting kicked away kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, eventually, like I remember specifically with Halo, like Combat Evolved, the original one. He's 4 years older than me. I'm probably like 8. He's maybe 12 with his friends, and I'm cooking them. Like low-key, I'm cooking these cats. I'm cooking these guys, and I'm like super young, and I'm just thinking like maybe I just play for fun. There's no esports or anything at the time, but I knew I was good at it. And like going into computers, I'd play Counter-Strike 1.6. My brother got me into that, so started me on shooters. And I think just kind of with the start of Counter-Strike and maybe like Diablo 2, those kind of games like really got me hooked into gaming a lot. And always played sports growing up, but that kind of fell to the wayside after you kind of realize that's not really going anywhere. Like, you're okay, but you're not him, unfortunately.
Wait, then you're him in another way.
You know, yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying my best anyways. But yeah, I just kind of been playing video games since a young age my whole life, and then just kind of fell into Smite, played it for fun like most people. Got right place, right time, like knew the right people, and got picked up more or less, yeah. I owe Kabam that. I sell it to everyone. He made me, ironically.
I also do want to add to that. Neil's probably a little humble about it. I don't know. I don't play a ton of other games, but I have a bunch of friends who will play games and stuff. And Neil's like notoriously just like good at any game he picks up, just like one of those gamers. You know, that's kind of your thing. You just can pick something up and you're just normally pretty good at it, I feel like.
And people ask me like how, or like I don't know. I don't even know. I think like a little bit of it is at a young age you play a bunch of different games.
Sure.
It's just kind of like muscle memory, like any sport. Like you play basketball, like 15 years later, if you shot a bunch of your kid, you can still kind of shoot.
Dude, have you heard did we talk about it? We had Aggro on the podcast. Did we talk about the aim trainer thing?
No, we didn't talk about that.
Dude, okay.
Man.
He reminded me of it. He's heard
so
it.
funny.
He's heard it for sure. Okay, so Ryan Aggro, whatever you want to call him, he recently had a son. His son's like 3-4 months older or something like that. And Andy, or Anster, former Smite pro player way back in the day for people who may know him, Anster had said to Aggro, he's like, have you ever thought about putting his son's name is Calvin. He's like, have you ever think about putting Calvin on an aim trainer? he's like, what do you mean? He's just like, why don't you get him started young? Like, just give him a mouse, like give him a little like iPad thing, like make sure it doesn't have blue light, safe for his eyes, and just like put him on an aim trainer, just like 10 minutes a day, just get him used to whipping his mouse around. And he's like, dude, when that kid's 5 years old, he'll be nuts. Just trust me, it'll be so good. Like, he'll be a pro in whatever game is good. Just put him on the aim trainer. And I actually like, maybe this makes me really dumb. I actually don't think it's that bad of an idea.
I mean, it would work. How would it hurt?
Surely it would. Dude, there's people who like, I don't want to. It's weird to say like you're breeding your kid to be good at something, but like there are people who like, if you're like an Olympic athlete, or like chess is another good example. Like they start so young. Like they get indoctrinated.
Tiger
into
Woods.
it so, yeah, it's so young.
That's funny.
I mean, I'm sure that's gonna happen, right? Like nowadays, like kids are just gonna play games they're young and just pick it up easy.
Yeah.
I did say though, maybe just an actual video game would be better, because then you're like critical thinking a bit more. But maybe like when you're 3, like what is even the point?
Yeah, you just
like whatever you
gotta
just
get the movement.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny that you said like with you were cooking your older brother's friends. It reminds me of my brother, like Sam or Lorlo. He's my younger brother. My friends would always used to come over, and he's like you. Whatever game he plays, he just picks it up and he's like good at it. It's crazy. Like I'm. It always takes me a while to get into it.
Yeah, that's how I feel
when I play games. I can't play a shooter at all. The only shooter I was ever decent at was Halo 2 and Halo 3. I'm so bad at CS, so bad at Valorant. For some reason, I just like to get in there, and you can in those games especially. But similar story of how like you were cooking your brother's friends in Halo. League of Legends came out, and all my friends, used to go over to my other friend's house who lived across the street, and we'd play like these big league LAN events, and we'd play 5v5. And it was
like
so
the
much
most fun you'll ever have gaming.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Playing like League or those kind of games in house is so fun.
Dude, was it Barra who you said he used to do that with like Halo and stuff? He had like friends here.
I think so.
That's so cool.
Ajax does that too, I think.
That's
which
so
is sick.
awesome. Yeah.
But anyways, dude, my brother would cook everybody in those games. It was insane. And like I knew like me and him were probably the best in those lobbies, but like I was here and he was like all the way up here.
Yeah.
Like he was like so much better than me as well. And like you said, that was so much fun, but it just reminds me of that. It's just my brother just cooking me and all my friends in the league.
Honestly, it honestly must be like just like actually watching it, because I feel like that's part of the reason people right now are way better at games than people were like 10 years ago. And I think it's just like information and like streaming, YouTube, being able to watch stuff. Because I had the same experience. I used to play like Nintendo 64 games a little bit, like all of us did, my dad and my older and younger brother. But then, like, when it came to, like, shooters, like Halo, that type of stuff, it was my older brother only. My younger brother was never really into that type of stuff. I remember watching him, and, like, WoW as well. Like, I remember I used to, like, wait for him to get off WoW so I could play it, that type of thing. And then I remember playing it, and then, like, just same thing. I was like, I'm actually pretty good at these. And I think it's just because you're watching it and you're, like, interested in it. And, yeah, there's got to be something to that.
Yeah, I think that's the best way that I learn. I've always found that, like, when I watch people do things, it helps me pick up things way faster.
For sure.
And like I think it's probably true for everyone, like trying to figure out yourself. Like even like other support players, like sometimes I'll watch them, and like people like who are just like Terra, for instance. I was watching Genex play Terra the other day.
Yeah.
And he like plays that god so much more
He's
than
very
me.
good at it, yeah.
And then I'm like watching, and I like pick something up. I'm like, oh, well, I've just like probably saved like 100 or like 200 hours of playing that character. I could just watch him and like learn it from him, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love doing that as well. Like I have channel points in everybody's support stream. I have so many channel points in Jake's stream, Genetics' stream,
Dude, Jake is so
Rangyu's stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love watching. Like you said, it lets you pick things up like way easier. And if you're not doing that, you're missing out. I feel like on a lot of information that's just out there. And it's crazy to think nowadays, like anybody, like this floor level of like skill for any game is so much higher than it was even like 10 years ago, and it's insane. Like even when I started playing Smite, you started playing in 2012 as well, right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Closed beta, yeah. Like I think Guan Yu just came out and I started playing.
Yeah, nice. You basically started playing really early.
Yeah.
But even back then, like I came from League and I was just so much better than every other player that I played against. Like probably like 99% of the players, just because I came from a different MOBA, and I had a pretty good WoW background, which translates like perfectly.
You're the exact same as me.
Yeah, perfectly into Smite, and it's like this game. Like I felt like I was taking candy from a baby, basically. Yeah. Like every game I played, and it was insane. And I just feel like if you have information, it just makes you a way better player. Yeah. And the information that's out there now is really cool, but at the same time, for other games like MMOs, like WoW, it actually makes it worse, I feel like, which is very interesting.
Because it ruins the experience, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, if you played classic WoW, it's like...
I can't stand the world.
It's so min-max, everything's so easy to joke, but...
Did you guys used to play original? I'm sorry. Did you guys play original like vanilla WoW at all?
Yeah.
Did you guys did you rate it all back then?
So
I barely did.
I did. I
was like 10.
I have a couple really funny memories. My first raid I ever did was a ZG, and my grandma was over, and like there's like a middle room at our house that we used to have. We call it the computer room. That's where the computers were at. And we were wiping on a car, like. We only did a couple bosses, and then we did like a car or whatever. I had no idea what was going on because I was literally terrible at the game, and I just got lucky. They brought me along, I think, because they needed an extra person. And we're literally wiping, and it's like 4 a.m. And my grandma comes down, and she's like, "You're still awake? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh my god!"
And you're probably like, "I don't even know what I'm doing." Honestly.
I'm like, I can't believe it's 4 a.m. Like the time just flew past.
Seriously, especially the WoW. That game was like unlike any other game you'd ever for that time too.
Dude, I was like 7 years old, 8 years old when I started playing WoW, and it was like on vanilla launch basically. And I remember going in to BWL for the first time, and there wasn't that much out there.
Were you 8 when
I was like 7 or 8? Dude, it was funny because back then people were in vent, and like I cannot talk in vent because if I say one word, it's like we got a squeaker.
Yeah, for real, right?
It was so funny, but like I remember going into the first boss, and like you have to destroy all the eggs. Like there's the orb to like mind control him. I forget the name of the boss, but like. We literally spent like hours just trying to figure out like what the heck are we supposed to do, because there was no guide. You didn't just have someone like there wasn't like DBM or something that just told you. Like I remember Alterac Valley came out, and the matches would literally go for days. Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember queuing in Alterac Valley.
2 days or like 3 days a game.
Dude, I remember so vividly. It was like a family friend that came over. He also played WoW. It was my older brother's friend, and it was like a Friday night in the summer or something like that. And we like had dinner or something, and it was like 7 p.m. I'm like, I'm gonna queue in Alterac Valley, like I got time. I was in that Alterac Valley until 3 a.m. I remember my mom woke up because I killed like 3 people or someone, and people were like, "Oh," she was pissed. I hear her literally stomping down the hallway. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like 8 years old, dude. I also did it when I remember it was Upper Blackrock Spire. I remember there was one morning I just woke up early as a kid before elementary school. I was in 3rd grade. It was like 6 a.m. and I woke up and I'm like, I'm just gonna go like look for a BlackRock of like a UBRS group really quick. I remember getting like Shoulders of Valor and then being like, sorry guys, gotta go to school. I just hopped out. I was pumped. That was the best day at school.
Those shoulders looked dope.
They were
as well.
so cool.
Dude,
I was so pumped.
That's sick. You were actually like a god gamer then at like 7 or 8. That's insane for WoW standards.
Yeah.
Like
it was so fun.
I did like all the dungeons. The other memory I have of a raid, like I did like I went into MC like once. I went into ZG once, and then I did Onyxia a couple times. The first time I did Onyxia, I spammed all my mana, which is like the restart. I was playing a druid, and I'm max rank healing touch, spamming the tank. I'm out of mana, and the guy invents like, "Yo, what are you doing? Why are you out of mana?" He just calls me out, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
I remember stepping into Molten Core like I was like 12, and I think like pretty sure we killed Reg like just as BC was dropping pretty well, so it was like really fresh. And off the very first boss, some epic legs dropped, complete garbage plate, like no one even wants them. I like open roll or whatever. I'm like waiting to see if anyone rolls. I roll, I win them. I'm so happy, and everyone's like, dude, like, why do you even want those? Those don't even do anything. I did that. It was purple though, and I was like, let's go.
You guys know it's off. It's like off the third or fourth to last boss in MC. They call it like vendor strike. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yes, dude. Yeah.
I remember that dropped. I was a kid and no one rolled for it. I'm like, this is sick. Like, it's 2 weapons in one. This is nuts. I remember like rolling. I was like so pumped. I went to like Silithus to go kill a normal mob. Literally died to it. I'm like, this is trash.
Yo, Mike, you got the gate, bro?
I got the gate.
You got the gate, bro?
Oh,
No in 20.
In 20.
I'm not getting a call.
Unlucky.
In 20?
Yeah. But I had the same kind of like entry into Smite as you. Like I played a lot of WoW, and like I was kind of just getting bored of WoW. Like Cataclysm again, I was like, I'm over it. And I was playing some Han. Like when Han dropped, worst mistake of my life, by the way. Han and League both
What's
dropped
Han?
at the same time.
Oh, Heroes of New Earth? Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Heroes of New Earth and League of Legends dropped at the same time. I like try both. I'm like, dude, this League game looks like ass. Like I'm not playing this. Like this doesn't feel like fun. I'm gonna play some Han. That game goes into the ground, and then League like goes into like the moon. I was like, what did I do?
It's still up there.
That's
It's
funny.
way up there.
But yeah, then I started playing Smite because of that as well, because it's like a mix of like Dota or Han or whatever, and WoW. I was like, wow, this is like the perfect game for me. I would start
awesome,
playing
man.
it. And me and Jaco Malfoy hopped on at the same time, because I used to play WoW with him too. We were gods. Arena back in the day.
When did you guys meet Kabam? Like, because I know that Kabam always tells stories between like you, Jaco, and like Neil. He would always tell me stories of you guys playing. Like, was it pretty early on in closed beta, or was it like
I don't
later
even
on?
remember when we met Kabam, honestly. I just remember like me and Jake would do those 3v3 tournaments a lot with one of our other buddies, and then the third person always like came and went or whatever. And like I think we just maybe knew Kabam from that or something. I don't actually remember how, because me and Jake didn't have like that many Smite friends. We kind of stuck to ourselves. Neither of us like played any ranked or anything. We were just like casual players who play these Joust Gem tournaments and win them. And then I think it was just Kabam through that somehow. We started playing with him, and then we just started like playing with him every week, and we were just having a blast.
Nice.
Well, actually, sort of. We kind of also like hated 3v3 at the same time.
I thought you were going to say hated each other. I was
Nah,
like,
we all had a lot of fun, but we like kind of loathed playing 3v3, but it was like free jams. Because we'd play like Warchi at the finals every time, and he'd pick a healer, and we're just like, dude, like, come on, bro.
I don't know if I've ever heard like a 3v3 Joust player say like, oh, I love 3v3
Dude,
so
no,
much.
it's brutal.
The meta's just evolved so hard.
People would sit under their Phoenix, you couldn't break it, and if you did, they'd hit your Titan over the wall for some reason. You could just do that. Like,
That's
my God.
because it was on the old map. That's
Yes,
right.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. My
That's when
favorite
invading
game.
started.
They changed it. I remember a couple weeks after I did this, I streamed a couple games where I would only play Janice in duel, because I used to play a bunch of duel, and I would sit and I'd snipe the Titan, and that's how I'd win the game.
Oh,
I'd sit in my own
no.
base, and then the guy would say, "How would you win the game?" Like after the game, and I remember I did that for like 5 or 6 games. Like I would just get like a huge
That's so
lead,
funny.
and then I would just AFK in base and only clear the wave if he came up to my Phoenix.
Oh my God.
And then I would just sit in base, snipe the Titan, and
That's
I would
so
just win the
good.
game
That's the most
eventually.
used
Did you have like a
story I've ever
lineup as
heard.
well, where
Yeah.
you like know where to shoot it?
Yeah, it
That's
was
awesome.
dude,
Shameless.
It was so much fun, and then they changed. I remember they changed you can't hit the Titan anymore with Janice. I was like,
Yeah,
GG, but
end of an era.
it was fun.
Lucky.
And that was also, I never learned until the very end, right before that map, you could ult out of the map. Did you
Yes,
ever
and
see
you would
that?
die. You just go to the map and you die.
Yeah,
I
the same
remember
map. That map was Janice was just OP on that map. That's all it was.
Yeah, some of your ult boards are so long.
Dude, I love Janice because he was the god that came out like when I started playing. I wish that character was played more. I love him so much. I know you hate him in ranked, but I love that god.
Dude, I would rather have a Janice support on my team than a Janice mid or
I'm
actually
jungle.
down.
I actually
I'm
agree
actually
with that
down.
too. Yeah, I agree with that too.
Because I feel like
Janice jungle is actually the worst because they will only AFK farm and
Yeah.
their ganks are so bad.
and then they miss every ability
Yes.
late game, and then you're like, okay, cool, you
Yeah.
can give me a portal, but you can't do any
I
damage.
did that to Big Man the other day. I played in his ranked game. I didn't realize what role I was, and I almost like dodged. I was like, oh crap, I'll play Janice, and I was like, oh no, I'm jungle. I I die like wave 1, I int the whole game, and like every time he comes out of base and he sees me, he's just like awesome. This is awesome. I'm not gonna argue with him. I've sold him for sure.
That's funny, bro.
It was too good.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but did your brother end up playing Smite ever, or no? Your older brother that you played games with?
He kind of stopped gaming a little bit. I can't remember we played WoW a lot together and things like that. And then I don't even remember when he's still at games here and there, but he doesn't have time for it anymore. He's like got his own thing going on. He's a doctor actually, so
Nice.
does not have time for that. But I don't know. Like after I got my own computer, I didn't really game with him too much anymore. Like before, it was like kind of watching him play WoW. We like shared an account, like seriously like, taking turns.
Whoa.
Like have to get my. I mean. Yeah, but literally like having to beg my dad, like, dude, get him off, bro. I just want to play, and he's like, all right, give him a turn, you know.
That's
but,
awesome.
Yeah, doesn't game as much anymore. I think he still likes it though, but just doesn't really have the time.
Wait, did you say your dad played games at the start?
He did, yeah. He was a big. I remember he'd play a lot of Diablo. Like
That's
Diablo
cool.
2, he was a grinder. You have to level 98 or something like that, which is
That's
like
insane
in Diablo. It's like
That is crazy.
days and days and days of game time, like an insane amount.
Especially back when people didn't know how to like farm everything super efficiently. That's
Yeah.
like even crazier.
And he loved gold, even though it served no purpose in the game. He would go. Do you know? Have you ever played Diablo?
Yeah.
There's like something called the secret cow level, and there's just a bunch of mobs.
Yeah.
You kill them, and there's just loot all over the ground. Like 99% of it is completely worthless. He'd go into like once people had cleared and like pick up all like the grays and like go to the vendor and sell them. I'm like, dude, like what are you doing? You literally can't even use this gold. He loved it though. But yeah, he's and even after that, like he would play like Morrowind and things like that. Like
nice.
even on the Xbox, and every now and then be like, yo, like can one of you guys just like beat this boss for me so I can keep playing the game? He's like, I am so stuck. And so we would go and beat the game, but he was gaming a lot though. Actually,
That's cool.
Yeah, in his free
sweet.
time.
So I know he keeps up with the Smite scene a lot. So does my mom. Does he understand the game pretty well, would you say, or no, when he watches?
I think both my parents have like a pretty decent understanding. Like I think it's pretty hard when you haven't played the game to have like a complete understanding of what's going on. But
That's
they definitely know like characters. They know what's going on. They know when things are like good or bad now. Because before, like when they first started watching, they'd rely on the commentators a lot. They're so helpful because the commentators will just be saying like, oh, it's good, and then you like know something good is happening. But nowadays they can see when like a fight's good or a fight's bad, or like if it's a good spot, if it's a bad spot, if your game is over or not, kind of thing.
Dude,
so.
quick tangent about that, because my parents had the exact same experience. I used to take it for granted for sure, and I think a lot of people do as well. When like people used to get so annoyed when they're like, "Oh, this caster doesn't know what they're talking about." They're like explaining it to a newer viewer, but like. It actually is so important for people who like maybe have never watched competitive play, or like maybe they just started picking up the game. Like you take for granted how many small things are like, oh yeah, like they're picking Kepri because this god has a revive and it can like do this or that or whatever. Like even the most simple things that you take for granted, and you're annoyed about it because you think like, oh, this is so obvious. Like it's actually crazy how helpful that is to people. It made me have a new respect for like casting in general. I think like there's a lot of nuances like that people just don't really think about, I think.
And that's super important because I feel like a game like Smite or any MOBA is so hard to get into.
It's so complex.
So much information you need to learn.
Yeah, like if you play a game like Rocket League or like CS or Valorant, like you just watch, if they shoot someone, they're dead, they're ahead or whatever. Like Smite is way more complex. So like all that little details the casters can give in the most simplistic way is such a big thing, I feel like, for everyone.
100%.
Dude, I noticed that as well with Worlds, like they'll like kind of recap like storylines and stuff going into stats have been like, oh, like this team has been really good at like this all year, and I feel like it builds a lot of like backstory, and it's really cool.
It is really important. Yeah.
So after you started playing Smite, like did anything like draw you into the competitive part? I know you touched on it a little bit, like how you played in season 1, season / 0 a little bit. Like what got you to play like competitively?
I've always just kind of had that like competitive nature about me. I always played sports, and like whenever I'm playing a game as well, part of it is just like trying to improve, not even without like a goal of going pro or anything, because like I said, back then it wasn't like esports wasn't
you're just like competitive with yourself kind of, or
exactly, yeah, and just trying to get better. I think it's just always fun to like try and get better and improve. Even now, like I always am trying to improve it every day, no matter what's happening. Like my ranked game, someone's running it down, like maybe I'm not as good as I used to be at that, but I try and be like, okay, what can I be doing? But I think it's just a lot of just playing with my friends and playing for fun, and then we'd play just Challenger Cup, get some friends together, and then I think after winning some of these Joust tournaments, and I remember once, like COG, like Shing and like Barra and like Jeff or somebody like played into us and we beat them in Joust, and it was like we understood like like Joust is not the same, but like these guys are good and like we all know the meta picks and we beat them in Joust, like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, that little crossover is like, okay, maybe we can actually like do some damage here. And I never even played ranked, I don't think, till like season like 3 really. So I was just playing casuals with my boys.
Crazy.
Nice.
But really what got me into it, I think, is just like when I started being friends with Kabam as well, because he was a pro player around that time. Like he was on COG and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we would just play Challenger Cup for fun, like the tournaments on the weekend, and we were actually doing pretty well. And I think we just like a lot of people just get a group together, just start playing Challenger Cup. A lot of teammates are changing, a lot of the looks are changing and things like that.
Challenger Cup was so fun.
Yeah.
Kind of comes to that though.
But I think a lot of like that's how I kind of got in, because I remember I jungled for your team for like a small stint.
I wanted to bring that up. Yeah, I remember Kabam. That's like
What
that's
year was
this was season 2.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
This was before Kabam joined COG and then got me on COG as well. This was like months before, like probably like 2 or 3 months. This was like after
you
it was
left
season
Eager.
2. After I left Eager,
Yeah.
I started playing with Kabam a lot more again. And then we were like, yeah, let's just make a team and for fun or whatever and playing these tournaments. And I remember you played jungle. This is the first time I ever interacted with you, I think, ever really talked
I think
to
so,
you.
yeah.
And Kabam's like, yeah, I have this friend. He's really good jungler. I'm like, sweet. And then I remember you played Humbots, and we played
I
against,
remember that too.
We played against Denial.
We beat Denial. We had the Paradox as well.
Yeah, we had the Paradox. We had
that is so funny.
And then it was T-Money, right? In
Yes,
mid.
Dude, it was T-Money.
Yeah.
We had a ragtag squad.
And we
Who else
beat
did we have? Was it Yumi, Kabam, T-Money, Paradox?
Yeah. And we beat Denial, and Baskin was on
Yeah,
that team
yes,
as well.
yes.
He was playing Vamana.
Yes.
And I remember you.
I remember that.
I think you Humbots ulted him in solo, and we one-shot him before he got his Vamana ult off, and we won the game off it.
Legacy moment.
And then Bomb's like, yeah, guys, I think it's time for me to get some sleep now. I've been up for like 42 hours or something.
Dude, it was
and I was like, what the heck is going on? But yeah, no, that was sick. And then I remember Kabam said, yeah, Neil's got to go on vacation somewhere, so we
like
could just
2
play
weeks.
with someone else
I think it
for a
was
little
like Bika
bit.
maybe even or something like that.
And I think when you were on vacation, that's when Kabam got the offer from COG, and then he brought me with him to COG.
Yeah, I came back and I had no team and no
That's
prospects.
so sad.
And I remember playing with Aurora too. I remember like just the difference in like level as well, because I remember just thinking like Aurora was just like, yo, let's just kill this guy over here. And I'm looking at him like, there's no way we're ever getting to that guy and killing him. Like that's literally impossible. I was like, okay, I'll just try. And it was like we got on him, I killed him so easy. I was like, what? I was like, yo, this kind of opens a whole new world of like how the game's supposed to be played. And I remember when I played in season 0 for support for like, or season 1 for like a week or whatever, we scrimmed Dig, and when they were like the top dogs, and I'm like pathing somewhere, I'm like, I'm always fine here. 3 guys rock up, like one shot me. I was like, huh? Like I can beat. I just thought I was never dead here ever. Why? How am I dead?
That's people say it in like traditional sports when there's like a rookie or something, and they talk about like, oh, like the game slowed down for me. I feel like you get that like when you're at a high level in anything. I feel like that happens, because I remember when I first started scrimming after you had left Eager. They were scrim partners with like they were called AFK at the time, and they had just won like the spring tournament. And back then, like the tournaments were EU and NA, like they'd all come to one tournament. So they were basically like, for that time, they were like the best team in the world. And I was we were getting cooked, and dude, it was the hardest like learning curve ever, because I'm going from like I literally hadn't even hit masters and ranked yet. Like I had won like 4 weeks of Challenger Cup like back to back to back to back, and I still wasn't a masters player. Like it was just because like I used to watch a bunch of VODs with like Chaos and stuff, so like I knew more about comp than I did about like ranked or whatever. And I remember going in those scrims and I was so lost. Like kind of what you said, like they would say something and it's like so simple. It's like, oh yeah, like we just do this at this fire giant, or like, oh, when we siege, like just do this. Like there were so many stupid things I remember. Like they were like, Athena Geb was a matchup I used to play all the time, and they're like, look, Mike, when the Athena goes to dash taunt you, just blink past him and ult his team. I was like, whoa. I'm like, that's nuts. I'm like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. But it really was true. Like there were so many levels to it. It was awesome.
I also think the support is probably the hardest role to like make that step up in.
Support
in my
jungle,
opinion.
I think, is so hard.
Jungle, yeah, just there's a lot of macro play, and there's like you can be kind of like owning in jungle specifically, and still like not be playing like correctly, you know.
Yeah, like
Same with support. It's hard because like the feedback you get, like you can do the right things in a team fight perfectly, and like you still might lose a team fight, and you're like, is what I'm doing like good? And also just the fact that you're the one going in first, and a lot of times in support, when you first move up, you're getting killed like on cooldown. Like I said, like
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I couldn't be here at this time, or I didn't know they would like group and do this. Yeah.
When was
Stuff.
the first time you like met Mike? Was it in ranked, or did you ever talk to him like outside of ranked? Like, when did you guys first like interact with each other? Do you remember?
I don't know
Either
if
of you?
you remember. I feel like I didn't actually know of Neil until that Oxygen team.
Probably.
Actually, no. Season 3. Was it season 3 you played on
Oh,
the Challenger team with like Panda Cat and stuff?
Yeah, and we lost
that
the
was
flex.
when. Yeah, that was when I think.
Yeah,
I first
me and Max were a dangerous duel lane, if I do say so myself.
I remember
You
that.
guys were
Playing
the
against Team
vacation
Flex,
boys.
I was so cocky. I was like, these guys are so free. They like walked over us 3-1 so easy. I'm like, oh.
Well, it was funny because I remember, I don't know if it was Kabam, because Kabam was our coach, I think, when we were on NV. I was like with Kabam,
Yeah.
Cyclone, and Kiki and stuff. And he had made a joke. They were like, oh, they're the vacation boys or something, like you and Panda, because Panda did the same thing. Panda was on like he was on like Legion of Carrots, and in the middle of the summer, he's just like, yeah, guys, I'm gonna go on a family vacation. He just
Like his
did-
summer camp. He loves his
summer
bro.
camp. He just didn't have a team after
Yeah, bro.
that, and they both like did the same thing.
Unlucky.
Basically. Yeah.
Unlucky.
Because I remember I would talk to Kabam, because I remember I played with you and I always thought you were pretty good, and I would ask Kabam like, why does Neil not try to play more? I remember he played a little bit in season 1 or whatever. I would talk about, and Kabam's like, he's just like, he doesn't want to commit fully to like playing competitive. He just likes playing for fun, basically, is what Kabam said.
Yeah.
Were you in college at that point? Do you remember?
Probably. I mean, I graduated high school in 2011, so yeah. I guess the whole time I was playing Smite, I was in uni, more or
Yeah.
less. I think the big thing was I just didn't really like. I didn't play much ranked, and so I think one of the barriers was just like no one knew me, right? Because you don't play
Yeah, for
like that's how almost everything gets picked up. Right? You play ranked, and then people know of you, and
Yeah.
then they're gonna like pick you up for a consideration for playing teams, right? So I think I was just kind of like an under the radar player for a while. I just wasn't big into playing ranked or whatever. Just play casuals with my friends like Jake and stuff, and Kabam play these tournaments we had fun in. I'd play like Challenger Cup every now and then, but like I mean, you don't really get a whole lot of just like a lot of people. I just think even now, like your Challenger Cup team does well. People are just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are like whatever, you know. And I think that's like that Oxygen thing was when I kind of got put on the map. Like yeah, we won Challenger Cup, but we still lost to Flex. Didn't get in the SPL for that qualification. And yeah, so I think Oxygen was finally kind of like, I'm on a team now. We went to a LAN. I had a good performance. Like you're kind of on the map from
You had a lot of sick plays that tournament. I remember there was like
Yeah.
a Sylve pool to like reset Gold Fury or something
That
like
was
that.
at relegations and we lost that game.
Oh,
Remember I
was
did
it?
that? I remember we were so bad at relegations. Like I think people just got nervous or whatever.
Wait, you were on Oxygen trying to relegate an SPL team? Is that what it was?
We were trying to get into SPL through
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we literally did it twice, and we never made it in either against Challenger teams. Like never made it in. It was
That's
tragic.
crazy.
I remember specifically that goal play. It was like they had like a Geb and a Poseidon there, and like an Apollo or something like that. And like this team, it's like some team like I think Viper was on. If you remember, like I remember that guy's name is there, and they're on the gold feed or whatever, and Post like Krakens it, and he's the only one in the pit, and I like pull him out when he Krakens. He Krakens air.
Yeah, that's right.
I like go in like 3-man ult them. We have like someone like Apollo dunk on them. We kill her and get the gold. And I was like, okay, well we can't lose now.
Sure,
like,
that's like
surely
game-winning
not.
play.
And like fast forward, we lose the game. I was like, dude, what is happening?
Oh,
that's so
man,
sad.
that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
That happened for some reason with Sylvanas. I have a memory like that as well. Season 5, it was after we went to the beach house. Our last qualification, to qualify for LAN to get second seed, we played against SSG, like the Ven team with
This was
Barra.
summer.
The summer, yeah, because we ended up being third seed because we lost to LG. But I was playing Sylvanas, and Sylvanas stole a fire giant with my root over the wall, max range.
That's awesome.
And we lost the game. And I was like, we got that. And we were like also pumped up. And if we won that game, we would have qualified for LAN. And we ended up losing. And
I
it's
remember
like,
watching that game because like it doesn't matter if I say now, but like back then, spoiler alert, like the games were like a couple hours pre-recorded.
Yeah.
I remember we finished our set and we knew your guys' set was like winner goes to the tournament basically. I remember spectating it, watching that game. I was so sure you guys were gonna win too.
Yeah.
That's unlucky, dude. It's crazy how I feel like there's so many games like that where like you can make a play like that and you're just like you're so confident. You're like okay, like just take a deep breath. It's free, and then like the very next fight you just get rolled. You're like oh,
Like what happened? Yeah.
you're like that's unlucky.
Oh, man. Yeah, I've had so many of those plays. It's always, you always learn from it, though, which is good.
sure,
for sure,
So
Losing is learning, yeah.
after Oxygen, that's when you joined. Is that when you joined Allegiance or no?
Yeah, because we played on Oxygen and we went to the Gauntlet LAN. We had to play 4 sets in a row. We played for like 8 hours, and then
Yeah.
it's just like brain gone. We ended up losing. And then what happened was Mike had left Allegiance selfishly, So rude, bro. So rude. And then so they played with Guy in your bed or Vivian X3 at that tournament, and he was just like kind of like a stand-in more or less. I don't think he was like a guaranteed thing.
Sorry.
And after the tournament, I kind of cooked him, no lie. Our team just played really well, to be honest. It was like a team effort.
He was cooked.
Yeah, he was a little bit cooked.
He was,
I tucked him into bed. I put him in that bed.
He was mega cooked.
And then so they asked me after tournament to like fill in, and me, I remember like back in those days too, I was so much like cockier. Maybe I didn't show up, but I was like, I can fix this team so easy. Like I know Mike's like a good player, like he's there, but like
not good on that
I'm
team.
gonna fix them, you know.
Nice.
And I did not. We didn't do much. We almost made it to LAN, and then that's about all.
I didn't even think about this until then. I got in the SPL because you left a team, and then his first SPL team was because I left a team.
Dude, it's all
So
connected.
you won Worlds
So
that
you
year. 'cause
got him
left.
in the SPL. If you think about it,
That's crazy.
You owe it all to him. That's
awesome.
That's nuts. You should say thank
You won Worlds that year when you left Allegiance too. And
yeah.
United, yeah.
Yeah.
That Oxygen Supremacy team had you and Ven as well. That's
Me,
crazy.
Ven, Skeely, Kiki, and Data Remeber.
Yeah, you and Ven got the big Worlds wins after that team too.
Yeah, I remember thinking I was just so happy. I was like, dude, this is crazy because Panda was my old teammate.
Yeah.
And then Ven literally was a rookie that year, like my old team for
Then
in the year.
It was so fun to play.
And
with
seeing you
them.
guys win, I was so happy for you guys. I remember.
That's sick.
I was stoked.
That was the NA was cursed thing too. All the EU teams thought they were so good. They thought they were so good. They loved it.
Oh man, that LAN was so funny when you said EU sucks.
That was good, yeah.
Had to.
That was great. And then season 4, you still were you still on Allegiance then as well or no? Or what happened in no, was that season? No, that was season 3.
That was season 3.
And then
On
season
Allegiance?
Yeah.
Allegiance was 4.
Yeah. Oh, 4?
Allegiance was 4. You were on Allegiance. After I left
Oh,
in
yeah.
that tournament, they
Yeah,
picked you up.
yeah.
And then you were on it was
Trifecta.
Trifecta season 5, yeah.
Because that was the first year for like franchise. Well,
yeah.
franchising, but we didn't move down or whatever, right?
Yeah. And then who was your guys? So you had Zap on your team and you had Mask and then
It was Met, right?
Met was your
Yep,
mid laner,
Scary.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Dang. Dude, what was it like playing with Met? I love Met.
He was like my best friend in the league at that time. Like when I played on team with Matt, like me and him were like best boys. Honestly, I love that guy. He's so nice.
Funny, man.
Yeah.
He
he's
does not
such
have a
funny
bad
guy.
bone in his body. Yeah, he is hilarious. And that guy was just like pure talent, no brain. Like literally no brain at all.
The funny thing is he was like really self-aware of it
Yes,
too.
dude, and he would be the first to admit, but he was like just pure talent. Like I'm just better than you. But then sometimes he'd do stuff. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, bro? Like you are just like Kern dashing into a team. Like, dude, what is going on, man? But he was really talented. I loved playing with that guy.
Dude, I remember Met used to he used to troll so hard. Not like troll, but like we'd be in like a rank game and he'd be in like TeamSpeak or whatever we used back then. And I remember Susano first came out and he's like, guys, you're doing it wrong. Check this out. And he's literally just like Susano like 1-1-3-1ing out of base. And he goes so fast out of base, like the time it get like the first day it's released, everyone's like, holy crap. Like, that's crazy. And he's like, yep, take notes, you know.
Dude, Met, he has to be like, I feel like if he like stuck to Smite, I feel like he kind of lost focus on Smite. At least
he did. For
He was
sure.
in school, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he started going to the gym, and he got really into the gym.
What a selfish idiot.
But I feel like when he was like really into Smite, like he is one of the most underrated players.
He
like,
was insane.
He was so
He was-
good.
He was insane.
dude, some of the plays he made, like I think Betty Smite has a video of like his Hui bounces at the.
Dude,
Yes,
yeah.
Dude, he was like on certain characters like Hui and like I don't know. He was like you could argue that he was like the best player in the league sometimes. Like back when he played, he was so good.
He kind of reminds me a bit. I've never thought about this before, and I'm not trying to say like just in terms of like mechanics. He kind of reminds me of Fred in some ways, because you'll like see Fred on like some random character, like dude, like this guy's got game. Yeah, that kind of reminds you of that. It's like, dude, this guy's just styling on people.
Met, you know what else was funny about Met? I feel like people underestimated him so much because they kind of like they thought he was like a little dumb.
Yeah,
But he would just roll people.
For sure,
It was
man.
sick.
I loved just playing ranked with him as well. Back in the Curse
it was
Voice
so
days,
funny, dude.
Yeah.
he would always make me
He's
laugh
good time.
every game.
He was so
No matter
funny.
what,
Good
without
time with
fail,
that guy.
you always had fun playing with him, and like I feel like that's what made him good too. Is like you knew he was having fun whenever he played, and like he kind of spread that to everybody he was playing with, which was like sick.
Yeah.
So you played. So it was Met, Zap, Mask, and
Ronald.
Ronald.
Yeah, scary. That was the first team. Yeah, I remember we made that team.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and Mass were talking a lot about making that team or whatever, and I remember like they're trying to get Steve on board, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna play with, like NeilMah Sport." He goes, "Dude, who is that guy?" Like, the guy's probably like garbage. No, that was so funny.
Oh my god, Steve and you and Steve's like. I feel like have been always at like a legacy battle between you two that have always made you guys like you guys always pushed each other up to your brink.
Do you remember the bit they used to have? I think Sam was in on it too. You guys would argue over who the main character was.
We would all do that on SK. It was so funny. I was like, dude, it's me. I'm like, dude, no, it's me. And that was more like a me and like Sam and like Paul kind of thing because we were all in like the house or whatever. And me and Sam would always be like, dude, I'm the main character. And it kind of became a big thing of like the ghosting where both of the world's finals like gonna find out who the main character is now. And it was neither of us. It was Steve. I mean, unlucky.
Are you sure it's not Paul? It might be Paul.
Well,
We'll see.
Steve beat us the year after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That
That was another main character battle right there.
It was, yeah, Steve and Paul. Yeah.
But I guess it's not over yet. We got to find out at the end of this or at the beginning of this next year, right? And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. That team was interesting though. That trifecta team. Like I remember. Yeah, I think everyone was really good, but we never really got on the same page.
You guys remember your first phase? Because I do. I don't know how much you remember about it.
We probably got owned a bunch.
So their first phase, we come off of. So we had just won Worlds, and we had the infamous like I'm dying to arachne spiders.
Yeah,
like, you know, just
that was a great day.
It was so funny. Just stuff happens. You know, what are you gonna do? You go next, and we started off like. Our second set was against SSG, and they were just really good. That was like with Baskin and Andy and Aqua and stuff. They were just really good. So we lost. We were 0-2. And then our third set, we were against them. And we're like, okay, for sure this time we got it. And they farmed us. Maybe we won a game, but they farmed us for sure. And we lost. We were 0-3 to start the year. And we go on like a 5-game winning streak. And then we play them again on the second round robin, and they farm us again. We went up 1-0, we stomped, and then we were stomping game 2, lost, then lost game 3. And I was like, okay, well, like we can't make the tournament anymore because like now they've got head over us, and you guys had like the same or better record at the time. And I remember the very last week, they played like we played SSG and they played CLG at the time, and there was like the top 4 teams, and we 2-0'd SSG, and we like had to 2-0 SSG to like. For us to make the tournament, we had to 2-0 SSG. We could not 2-1. And then they had to lose to CLG, and they lost. And I remember
that.
I remember thinking.
I remember that.
I think Snoopy like soloed Zap like 10 times. That's an exaggeration, but he soloed Zap a lot for you guys to not make it. And I remember that being a crime because I actually thought that team, your guys' team, was really good that phase. And
you guys were running people over.
They were an underrated team that year, I thought.
Our only win though was against you guys that phase.
I remember that,
was, we were like, yes, we won.
Dude, I remember that. We literally could never beat them ever. It was impossible.
We went to game 3.
It was impossible. Was it Neja Ganesh? Like I swear, you guys did this all the time.
Yeah,
Fenrir Ganesh, dude.
But
me and Scary would just feed. Like we just could not buy beads. We couldn't find beads in the shop, and they would just pick us over and over, bros.
But it was we would always go to game 3 that split, and then we finally won a game 3, and it was against you guys. We were like, yes, we won game 3 finally. But I can't remember. There was a Janice in that game. I know we were talking about Janice earlier. I can't remember if we had the Janice or if you guys had Janice. But
I
don't think we ever played Janice.
So I don't think we ever. Maybe it was Best that played it then.
It probably would have been, yeah.
Yeah, but. I remember you guys being really good that year, and everybody was talking about how you guys were like a really like a good dark horse team. Yeah,
like at the Worlds Gauntlet, I thought they would make it for sure because I had thought they were underrated all year. Because like back then it was different because only 2 teams from each region even went to the tournament. So there were a lot of teams that were just like not question marks because they weren't good, but like people are like, oh, like they haven't made a tournament, they don't have tournament experience and stuff. But like I think people use that often as like a negative, but also like sometimes it can go really hard the other way. Like sometimes people are just like really, really comfortable in a tournament setting, and like you play longer sets and like they can adapt better, that type of thing. I feel like that kind of applied to you guys that year.
Yeah, I want to say I remember all the European teams. I talked to them, and they're like, what are some of the teams that you guys saw were good? I was like, I thought Trifecta was like insane, like scrimming them.
Yeah,
I would tell all these, and they'd be like, "Nah, they suck." Like every U team thought you guys were garbage for whatever
we
reason.
Lost the Challenger Cup in the very first round. I remember we went to the lower bracket. We're like, ooh, lost to Insignum.
Yeah, all the EU teams just completely trashed you guys all the time. Like I remember I'd be like, they're like, yeah, who do you guys think's gonna like be like a really good team, and I always be like trifecta. And then I think because it was season 5, I remember talking to so many European guys, and every single one of them, I'd be like, we'd be talking about teams, and they'd be like, dude, they suck. What are you talking about? I'm like, have you scrimmed them? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well,
don't talk if you don't know.
Dude, I remember at one point you guys picked up Sam. I think like Mask had left the team.
Yeah, he quit. Yeah.
Yeah, and you picked up Sam, and I remember we played him that first week, and I think we stomped you guys.
You did, yeah.
And then I think we started scrimming them right after, and I felt like it started to be so quick. Like Paul was always good when he got picked up. Like Paul was just good right away. But like it started to like all click where I was like, okay, like you can kind of see the pieces like start moving together. And I remember there were a couple scrims we got rolled, and I was like, yeah, no, they're gonna be good, like for sure, because you can just tell when a team starts to click, like when they start to figure out, you can feel it for sure.
Yeah. What was it like when you first started playing with Paul? Because you started playing with him that year as well, right? Like halfway through the year.
Yeah, it was always. I love playing with Paul. He's one of my favorite teammates ever. Honestly, it's like
You love him so
dude.
much.
He is like he has a heart of gold. People look at him and he has a bit of like an icy like perception from the outside in, but he is like the nicest guy. Has like an absolute heart of gold. Just you could count on him for whatever. Just such a great guy, and as a teammate too. The only thing I ever didn't like about playing with Paul is he just doesn't like talking. At Worlds, he talks a lot, though, to be fair, and sometimes he would just complain a bit, but like it's nothing too serious or anything. He just likes to complain to complain. He would love. I remember like distinctly, like I remember we were playing Seraph and he's Geb, and Paul like is so low in mid. I'm like, dude, this guy's like trying to come blink on you. I can like see him. He's grinding to him, and I'm like, don't clear that wave, bro. Like you're gonna die for this. He clears the wave and he backs up and like dips his toe into the tower line. Dies and goes, dude, there's just nothing I can do. They're like tower diving me, and I was like, that is not even remotely street ball. That's not even remote. I like watching my own eyes. He step the toe into the tower, dude. They're just diving me. My game's over. There's nothing I can do. And I was like, dude, come on, bro. Yeah, but Paul, an amazing teammate, and I still remember when we picked him up. Like Mass picked him up, and he was like there, like in TeamSpeak early for scrims. He's like, I just played like 18 ranked games in a row, haven't gone to bed. Like I'm ready. I was like, dude, this guy's
That's
menace.
nuts.
Like holy. And then just watching him play, like. Doesn't miss anything, just has really good instincts, like just plays differently than a lot of the players and builds differently than a lot of players at the time.
I remember with Paul, I knew of him, but he played console for a while, so he like didn't play a lot of PC. I remember season 5, that's when they merged, like there was no more like console league, so it was like they were all in Challenger Cup or whatever it was called back then, SEC. And I remember Paul started playing a lot of PC ranked. He would just play like Hebo every game with Mollusk.
Yes.
And he would just.
Him and Mollusk were unbeatable.
It was actually a death queue. Like literally, it was like legit. Like no memes. It was really a death queue. Like you could not beat them. Paul and Hebo was just 20-0 every game.
And Mollusk would be rad every game or Circuit. And
yes, he would just camp his
pressure.
lane. Yes, just camp his lane, go crazy.
Yes, man.
Dude, and I remember it was funny what you said about Paul about him being nice. I'd never spoken to him ever. And it was season 5 Worlds, and it was right before you guys had played in the finals. And it was all the losers. Like I think we all went to like a bar or something. So I remember it was like me and Variety and Twig and like Kenneth or Adapting. I remember like Paul was there, like a bunch of people were there, and we're all just at like a bar, like hanging out, having a good time. And I remember Kenneth was like, he like introduced himself. You're like, hey, you're Paul, right? And he just like talked to him. He's like, dude, you are Paul. This is Kenneth to Paul. And he's like, dude, you are so good. You might be the best mechanical player I've ever seen or something like that. I was just like, yeah, that was like a really impressive like Worlds for a rookie. And Paul's like, no, like stop. Like,
yeah,
no.
he's so humble, bro.
But it's not like a joke. Like he was actually like kind of like bashful about it. It was like, he's like, I'm uncomfortable. Like
I know the exactly how he acts. Yeah, when you were talking about that, he's a really humble guy. And
it's so wholesome, yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
And so funny. Like you would never guess nothing, but he's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I will say, like, Paul is probably like one of my favorite, if not my favorite teammates that I've gotten to live with. He's
a treat to live with.
He's so easy. Like, there's never any issues, and like, if someone needs help with something, he'll always be there. And like, I don't know. There's nothing, like you said, like he just has a heart of gold, and it's just he's so easy to get along with, just outside of the game even. Yeah. And it's just so much fun to be around him. So. And
he's always down for like whatever. You big yo, you want to go do this? He's like, yeah, sure, I'm down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's always down. Yeah. Which is sick. So you played with Paul and Mask, and then Mask ended up leaving the team, right? Yeah. And then that's when you guys got Sam. I think you were saying that, and then. So was that in the middle of the phase? Because you said they played you first.
It was the last phase.
It was in the middle of the fall split. Yeah, that Mask just left. I think you guys. I don't even know if you had a bad start, but like, Mask is just so hard on himself. Like you guys probably went like 1 and 2 or something. He's just like, I'm out. Yeah, can't do it. I'm done.
Well, we didn't really gel that well with Mask. Like me and Steve, like felt like we wanted to play the game a lot differently in Mass.
You guys kicked Steve. Mass kicked Steve. What?
After the CLG set.
On him, yeah. After you guys did make that tournament, they kicked Steve for a little bit.
We put Met in ADC.
Who was to the mid?
Paul.
It was Paul.
It was
Yeah.
Paul. We put Met in ADC, and that was not working at all. Like we lost like. Steve was like, I think that's when I first realized, like, dude, he's like a huge voice on our team. Like, he picks and bans, shot calling, just around objectives, just someone decisive. Like, we're just doing this.
Yeah.
And we lost that because Met wasn't much of a talker. It was like we had no one like doing that right.
It's really hard to fill that role too.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, it is really important to have that on your team.
I have to say, we played you guys. I remember after you guys lost Steve, and it was I think it was like Met's second set. Back in Duo Lane, and
he didn't do anything.
He played Raijin, and I remember
he played
Raijin.
Something about Raijin ADCs, man.
For some reason, he would keep walking up. He would start drumming the wave.
He played Scylla as well, I remember, too.
He's drumming the wave, and we'd walk up. I'd walk by him, we'd kill him. He'd come back. We got his tower. He'd walk back to where his tier 1 tower was dead, starts drumming the wave. We kill him again, and he walks back.
He did not care, bro.
SPL. He literally just kept walking back, and we were laughing. I remember in comps. He's like, what is this? We were like, what is Raijin doing? He kept walking back up and just drumming the wave and dying.
I can just hear him.
Like, what is going on, dude?
I can hear him in my head just going like, okay, dude. Like, John's hands like, okay.
Dude, I remember I played with Met, like, it was on ALG. It was after, like, Season 3 Worlds. We picked him up in Season 4. And I don't know if you guys, I don't know if this made it into SPL. It was like a start of the year change on Thoth. That got nerfed so quick, but it was when not only did his 2 start to pierce enemies,
stunned as well.
It pierced and stunned. I remember he played Thoth. I remember like he loved it so much. No matter what, if he saw someone, he dashed in for that scrim. Dude, he had like 10 kills in the first like 10 minutes or something. He's like, dude, this is broken. I remember so vividly a fire giant fight. Boom, dashes in. It's like 3 people insta dies. He's like, whatever, man. That was cool. Like something like that. Just I loved him, dude.
That's awesome.
It was so funny. They should bring that Thoth back, you think? Anyone?
No, dude, because that's so also like when you dashed, the cooldown went down. You could hold it in hand
right away,
and you could like stun them and then dash it and do it again. It was like
so
what?
Broken.
Dude,
ridiculous.
That was like right before Best took his break, and dude, he was crazy at that character as well.
I can believe that.
Yeah, like
any point and click like snipe character, that guy was gonna be nuts at it.
Just big mage damage, like get him all that.
I remember I Q ranked with him, and he'd have like 18 to 20 kills each game playing Thoth. That character was not okay when he first came out. It was so broken,
man.
Yeah. But now it's like my favorite Thoth memory, by the way, it was when Andy switched to mid. Was that season 3 or season 4?
3, right?
Or was it? No, it had to be season 4 because Thoth. Yeah. So Andy was mid. No, it was season 3. It had to be actually.
No, he was mid with Homie. It was Homie.
Wasn't it when Baskin left? Maybe he went mid or no?
Okay, maybe it was season 4.
He was still jungle.
Because we were still. I was on Eager still, so it was with me, Divios, and Best. It wasn't Splice yet, and Andy was playing Thoth mid. And Divios kept playing Jing Shen solo against him. And Divios would knock his dash up. He knocked his dash up like 6 times in one game. He's like, Andy, what are you doing? He's like, you do it. He's like, Thoth no dash. Like, and it's like, it's so funny. Like, I remember and then one time Andy dashed into his ult. Like, he was Jing Shen ulting someone else. And Andy Thoth dashed into it. And he's like, Andy, what are you doing? Dude, that every time I think of Thoth, I think of that game for some reason of Divios just knocking up every single Thoth dash and just Andy dashing into Xing Chen ult and dying.
Dude, Xing Chen ult, dude, that happened to us against you guys at Season 6 Worlds Finals. You remember that? Dude, it was like, dude, every Xing Chen ult's one of those ults that people either like blink or dash into. Or they get hit by the last tick and get insta-thrown and beads in the air and then die. Dude,
that is OP.
It happened to us at Worlds. He played it like game like 3. Yeah, game 3. We're like stomping.
Yeah.
And we like keep trying to siege. I remember there was a fight that I like think like finally could have gone well. I remember Twig was like on speed buff and it was a mid Phoenix siege. And he's like ulting Panda for his beads. And then we're like, oh yeah, we can kill him after, and just I see I forget what he was. I think it was Guan. Yeah, he was Guan. He blinks into the Xing Chen and he's like, oh, and then he gets thrown, just bam, one tap.
Oh my!
And then we're like, yep, that's ruined.
I remember Arco beats something and he's Uller and he has like no jump and he's standing in front of me. I was like, dude, free Uller, like this guy's so dead. Ultium. And I didn't even realize I didn't even realize what happened until I watched it back later. Yeah.
That's
tragic.
That's awesome,
dude. Steve and Paul like killed all of us after that. Yeah.
And then the absolute like the Benny Hill theme is like minions are like running around and everyone's like, dude, what do we do?
So
oh
true.
my god,
it was insane.
I feel like when I think of like your worlds, like I feel like the gods I think of for you are Xing Shen and Bacchus probably. Like
yeah, I can get on board with Bacchus. I played a lot of Xing Chen as well.
Yeah, it's Xing Chen for me for sure. Bacchus was just the one game, right? You guys stomped that game before though.
I played him a few times. I played him like at Worlds. Yeah, I played him for
in the finals or just
one.
in the like Worlds in general.
Yeah, I played him a couple of times. I think at Worlds maybe. But I remember playing it. Yeah, against you guys.
Like for me, for my Worlds runs, I feel like
I played Xing Chen because you played Ymir in season 7. I remember playing. I'm just gonna play Xing Chen.
Yeah. And then I played in season 5 when I went. I only played 2 characters the entire Worlds. I played Ardio and Fenrir, and that's it. The entire tournament, I played 2 gods. It was great. I was like, I mean.
It's open.
I'll keep playing them if you're not gonna.
I can't believe no one banned them.
It was crazy. I just got to play 2 characters the entire run, and then for you, like you played when you won. You played like
I played everything.
You played the God
Faf.
Wheel.
I remember Faf for sure.
I played.
Oh yeah, that's what that is.
You won on
that
Faf.
is true.
I played a couple Faf games. A couple.
Faf would be the one that.
At that time, Terra got like super nerfed. But I remember I played like one Terra game. Like an Alma game, an Athena, a Sylve game.
Yeah.
You played a Ganesh game as well.
I played the first ever Ganesh Worlds game, yeah. First ever. He was 1-0 at Worlds until like a couple years later. Dude, I kind of what you said about him is kind of funny, like earlier in the episode. I realized I do just love Ganesha. Like, there's this, like, I have to love him. Like, this doesn't mean anything. It just, like, happens to be a coincidence. Like, the first patch, he was available on SPL. I was the first one to play it, won with it. First ever Worlds game was me. I won with it.
So cool.
Like, so it's just like, there's like all these small moments where I'm like, wait, am I a Ganesha player? Like, at this point, I'm just like, sure, why not? I like him. He's cool enough. He's a goofy little guy.
Yeah, but I would definitely think Faf actually for you. Now that's perfect.
Do you guys know what your most played character in the SPL is? It's Faf for me for sure.
I have no idea, bro. I can't even begin to think.
My character, I remember when I looked at it like 3 years ago.
Surely it's like Ares for you.
It was Geb.
Maybe even Fen. You were playing Fen back on Fat Chunks too, honestly.
It was Geb 3 years ago. I don't think it's Geb anymore. I think it's Kepri.
Kepri would make sense
because I played so much Kepri season 8 and season 9.
Every game it was open, I feel like you
that I think that it's my most played now because I already had a pretty good amount of Kepri games before that, and I played him like those 2.
You played him a lot season 7, I thought too.
I played him a little bit
against us. I feel like you played him a lot, at least. I remember being Herc, and I would just get a little sucked up, dead.
I genuinely have no idea. I don't think I really like spam one character too much. I've never really been that way.
I feel like it's most common like where it's just something that's been like relatively good for a long time. Like
like maybe Faf or something.
Yeah. Dude, I wonder if yours is Kuzumbo ever.
Probably not. I don't play him that much, but I play him. I think I play him more than other supports have historically, but I don't think I've played him enough for that because I pick him in pretty specific spots.
Yeah, like season 6 Worlds, I would think Xing Chen and Bacchus, and then season 7 Bacchus and Kuzumbo is what I would probably because I remember you played a lot. You guys have the Kuzumbo Morgan combo.
Played Sobek as well at season 7.
Oh yeah, Sobek.
A lot of Sobek, like almost exclusive.
I remember you and Scared play a lot of like Sobek Guam together. And I remember you guys.
We just thought healing was broken, and we were just like always have healing. Like Zap would pick Cupid even if it's like not a good music. We just want some healing, like whatever.
Cupid Rama meta.
And we just started playing. Like Paul played one game of Scylla before that Worlds, and then it just like was fine, and then like back up against the one space. He's like, just give me Scylla. I don't know. And I would just pluck anyone I saw, and I was like, just here you go.
Rico?
Yeah. The story I heard with the Scylla was that I remember Ronnie was telling me because when I played with him is that him and Paul.
You and him played together.
Yeah, him and Paul would always queue ranked together as mid jungle, and that's why we got Ronnie as jungle because Paul liked queuing ranked with him all the time. but Ronnie would queue with Paul, and he would always tell Paul to pick Scylla, and Paul would be like, okay, fine, I'll play a couple Scylla games. So he'd play Scylla with Ronnie, and Ronnie would always Ronnie told me he would always try to get Paul to play Scylla every single SPL game. Every single game, he's like, just pick Scylla, try it out. And Paul was like, finally at Worlds when you guys were down 2-0, he's like, okay, fine, I'll play the game.
Yeah.
Ronnie like finally convinced him to play Scylla, and then he just went on the Scylla like
a tear,
massacre.
an absolute tear.
Because I remember that was the quarters. I remember they played. You guys played each other in the semis.
Yeah.
I remember like you guys even first picked it one game. I'm pretty sure Big Man played it. And he played it well too. And I was just like, I haven't seen a single. We scrimmed them so much. I'm like, I have not seen one single game. Not a single game. I haven't seen it.
A lot of that happened on those teams. Like Circuit again, like the season 6 Worlds. I practiced it maybe once before, and then I remember one game Sam was like, "Yo, let's play pick Circuit, but like if it looks like a good this game, like Paley or something, can you play it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, like whatever." And then it just started being insane. You were going insane,
them, right? You owned that game.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was and then you played it as well, and you like put a clinic on us.
Dude, I remember game 1 of the finals. You carried on Circuit. And then game 2, I carried on Circuit. And then both teams were like, nope.
That's exactly said. We were just like, we cannot let them have this ever. And if it's up, we are first picking it.
Yep, yeah. I think both teams were into like, I remember Slaney came on stage and he's like, no one's getting Circuit. The rest of the side, it's like, I don't know who's banning it, but it's con.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Speaking of season 6 Worlds, that's like when the Invade, that year was like the Invade year. And I can't remember if we were talking about it before the podcast or at the start of it, who started it. I feel like
we talked about it.
It was at the start. Oh yeah, it was at the start. But I feel like Deathwalker kind of like planted the seed in everybody's mind about the invades. I was always when I played ranked, I would always be a player that just invades like every season. I would always try to find something stupid to do. Like season 3, we invaded like speed buff, and we started that invade meta, and then like back in season 0 and season 1, I'd invade every single normal conquest game I played. That's how I'd play. I would always start at an enemy's buff, invading them. That's how I'd start the game. So like I'm like, okay, I like this a lot.
Dude, it's funny you bring it up. It was against you today in our set. There was one of the games, I'm like out of base. I'm standing at purple. There's like a minute before minion spawn. I remember like I don't move my character. I'm literally staring into the abyss. And I'm like, what I would give to just be able to run in there. I wish I could just run right in there, man. It actually crossed my mind. I'm like, man, I miss those days.
Yeah. I remember when you guys were on Eager prepping for Worlds, like our team scrim partnered against you. We were on Envy at the time, I think. And I remember how many F6 got slammed like before anything even happened. Just like 30 seconds F6.
Game would just be
F6.
over. It would just
and we were like a challenge. It was like the Envy like mix, and a lot of you guys went to Allegiance. So
it was like Kiki and Skilly and stuff, right?
And so like the leftovers and I ended up getting played up on that team. And you guys were going to Worlds or whatever, and we would scrim them. And I remember just like invade, game over, 30 seconds, negative 30 seconds, game over, like slamming F6 head into like the. We didn't have anything to play for. We were scrimming for fun, trying to help them out. But I remember like some of those restarts were insane. We'd scrim like 12 different games in like a block. It was insane.
That was crazy.
Dude, there were times I remember we'd because it was like me, Weekend, and Spin at the time. And I remember there was one scrim we played against. Were they Soar back then? Was that there still in their name? It was like Jigs, Baskin, Andy, Snoopy, like that team. I think they were still Soar. And I remember Cyclone played Thana, and I played Geb one game in a scrim, and we went in and like I triple knocked up. He like Scythe killed, Hog got the buff, hit 2, 3 got another kill, Scythe reset, got a third kill. We weren't even talking about like the rest of the game. We were like, okay, so like next game, how are they going to play this differently? The F6 was coming. Like the game's so over.
That's
like we're
true,
already talking
it's
about
true.
it. Yeah,
that's how it
Starts were
was.
so volatile back then. Like if something went
crazy.
wrong, it was insanely hard to come back. Yeah.
Also,
Just those days.
the back then weren't the jungle camps? They were on a way longer timer.
They're
as
3
well.
minutes.
Yeah. So like if you got the speed,
It's so huge.
And it was
so
worth the
easy.
same. It was worth the same for you as it was for them, not now, right?
yeah. So if you got it, you could set up so easily for it as
so
well.
huge off
Yep.
it, man.
So
Do you guys remember the power pot meta?
Yeah. I hated that.
Dude, it was. I remember.
that was so.
I remember when like I first, because that was like when you had left Eager, and it was like a power pot meta, and I remember like everyone did it in rank 2, so I wasn't like unfamiliar with it. But I remember them saying like they would die and be like, okay, I'll get another one. Like let's go fight them. And I was like, wait.
Hold on.
about to say, so you're telling me we bought a 500 pot, and then because you used to be able to buy it at level 1 for people who don't know.
Yeah.
You used to be able to buy a 500 gold like power pot at level 1. And it was the meta. The mid jungle would do it every game, and they would literally brawl each other. It was a like fight to the death for like mid harpies and stuff. And if you died, you like it was actually worse to not buy a second one because you would just get your speed invaded.
Yeah.
And you lost everything, and you'd be like level 4, and they're like level 6, 7, and like the game's actually just over.
You're down like 1,500 gold.
Oh, gosh, dude. Yeah. It was
Oh my
crazy.
god.
And that guy dies, respawns on bottom no matter what.
Okay, a lot of people would not agree with this. That is actually, it was such a fun ranked meta though, because I remember people would just power pot and write it down, and there was so much fighting earlier in the game. It was just such a dude. You know what? Okay, this is a weird tangent. I was actually hanging out with like Aggro last night, and we were watching one of your brother like Lorlo's videos, and I didn't realize he did this, but he showed us like he played like I think it was like Janna top or something.
Yeah.
And he would play it as like a roamer. He would literally would not go to top lane. He would go start with his bot lane and invade the jungle, take everything, gank bot. And then, like, if the jungler tried to leave, he would literally follow the jungler and grief them. He would not go to his wave until, like, 4 waves were stacked up in top. And I remember we were watching the video, and he was, like, explaining, like, okay, here's how you do it. Like, here, I was loving it. I wanted to ask you, did you tell him to do that?
I didn't tell him to do that, but I remember I was talking to him about it, and I'm like, I'm surprised no one's really ever did that more in League, because we were talking about it. I was like, I mean, I would definitely try to do something like that because that's fun. Like, I used to play when I played League. I played Alistar and Blitz, and like I would like always make crazy. I was playing jungle as well, which they are more known for support, I guess, than jungle. But like I would always try to like go behind the tower as Alistar, and he has an ability that headbutt, which is his W in League, or his 2 would be in Smite, that just knocks someone back. Level 1, just start headbutt and just punt someone out of their tower, flash out, and then have like 3 people sitting there and kill them, or like blitz pulling someone. Like, that's
awesome.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't always, but I always wondered why people wouldn't try that more in League. And then when he tried it, I was like, yeah, that's. I don't know why people don't do it.
Yeah,
more.
Aggro said it like started like I don't know if he started it, like if Lorlo started it, but he said like it did catch on to pro play, and like they had to like nerf a bunch of stuff. I think he was
all the support starters.
Yeah, he was doing it. He was going to support starter because they gave XP, and dude, something about starters giving XP. Don't do that.
Yeah,
I would not recommend that.
Bring back some Midas boots or some Travelers, like for real though.
So
or no?
broken, man.
Travelers are my favorite. Shout out to Traveler's shoes. I
actually did have one question for Neil, and then we can talk about the invade meta stuff if you guys want, because I know we were gonna do that a little bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, just like the only current event thing, I'm kind of curious what your experience taking a break and coaching and now coming back was. I'm kind of curious, like, you know, how you kind of viewed that transition, how that's been.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun coaching. Like, obviously, I was like coaching the Wargs or whatever. I think that my experience coaching was, I learned a lot first off, because coaching is like, it's definitely a skill in terms of how you can convey information in a way that's digestible. And I think I kind of learned that first with the Wargs. I think I was trying to like get them to think about too much at once. Cause I remember once Aqua was like, dude, like my brain doesn't even work anymore. Like I don't even know what's even like going on. And maybe like a bit of information overload. And just like, I think that like was an important thing to learn for coaching, and just trying to figure out how to get people to work on only like a couple things at a time. Because if you try to do too much, nothing is going to get processed, and it's going to be just understanding that these things take time as well. But I definitely at the end of the year was just, like I said earlier, was feeling like burnt out, wasn't like enjoying the game as much. So I'm like, I just should take a step back, just be at home, and you can coach from home, which is, I was like, let's do that and just take some time, be with my family. I haven't been there in a few years, and I was really enjoying it. But I felt like coaching specifically, as time went on, I found it harder to be like as effective as a coach.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bit of inexperience on my part, but I felt like it was kind of like a top heavy, what you brought to a team, like at the very first few months, like just trying to help them build good habits and trying to help them think about the game in a certain way. And when a new big patch drops as well, like just having another perspective on, oh, maybe you guys should be trying to play this side of the map. It seems like it's better. And then like come over here and like later in the game and try and play like this kind of meta. But like, I think after like a few months, just not playing the game as much either. Like I didn't really play too much in that break I took. It's just hard because the players kind of get a good feel for what they want to be doing. And I think like once you start bringing like good habits to the team, it's hard to like, it's more nitpicky. And I feel like from my perspective, it felt like my impact was less. I'm not sure how they would feel, but I felt like I did way more for
To be fair, they
the
also
Ravens at the beginning and then tapered off a bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to be fair, the Ravens, I think also you guys were like 7-3 or something that split. So I think
Something like that, yeah.
it's also hard when a team's doing well. I feel like it's kind of like a hard balance of like trying to challenge them to do new things, but also like if it's not broke, don't fix it, sort of thing.
For sure, yeah. And I think that is that's definitely a part of it. But I just also felt like maybe a bit of coaching and experience on my part of like how can we like help progress some of these things. And I think it was also part of the fact that the Ravens, a lot of those players have really strong and good opinions of the game, and they're very self-regulated, to be honest. Like probably a lot of teams function that way, where it's like we don't necessarily like we're keeping each other accountable.
Yeah,
we're making sure we come to practice like we kind of know what our mistakes are. Like you'll go watch a scrim will end, and I'll be like, this is like what went wrong, and they're like, yeah, like we were talking about during the game, like this is like kind of the fight, and we should be doing this. So it kind of, I guess, lessens your impact too if your players are really knowledgeable. So you have to find different ways to not only keep them engaged and keep them working on things, but just finding things that like your team does need to work on, especially if you're winning, right?
Do you I know I've heard a bunch of coaches say that they felt like, especially if they used to be a player, like whether it was SCC or SPL, where they would say they actually felt like it was more stressful being a coach because you just didn't have control.
Yeah.
Did you feel that in any way?
Without a doubt. Like I remember watching the Wargs like trying to make it in the SPL. And like just like because when you play a game and you're in the game, like
you're really in the moment. I feel
yeah,
like
exactly. And you're usually pretty calm and like locked in. But when you're sitting there watching, like I can feel my heart rate like raising. I feel like really stressed and like anxious, nervous, that kind of stuff. Especially because you can hear the comms. I'm like watching them about to do something terrible. Like we should go do this. I'm like, guys, no. Like yeah, it looks good. Let's do it. I'm like no. Like don't do it.
Kabam would always tell me that. He'd be like, yeah. I'm glad you guys can't see my face when I heard that call.
Yes,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like stuff like that. And it's just like when you're removed and you don't have like any control or say in what's happening once like the picks and advances and you leave the room. It's like it's all on them, right? So it is a lot more stressful just because you're like the most involved fan of all time because it literally directly like influences you more so than like you just like the team. It's like this is literally also my job. And then, like, and you don't have any say, and you're sitting there as a spectator. You're, like, the most involved spectator of all time, is how I could describe it.
That makes sense. It's a really interesting perspective, because I've always thought, like, not necessarily for Smite, because I'd rather, like, be a player as long as I'm like, passionate about it, but, like, just, like, coaching, teaching in general, like, I just find that sort of thing interesting. My mom was a teacher as well growing up, and, like, it does make sense where, like, you're like the fan perspective where like not only are you like intimately involved in it, but like you're also like rooting for them to do well, like you want to see them do well, and it's like frustrating if there's like mistakes and you're like, oh, I wish I could help, like
and like at the end of that, like when the Works didn't qualify, it was like a lot of that, right, where like I think I can still probably find something else to do, and like it doesn't impact me as much as it does them, so it's like you just really wanted to see guys like that succeed as well, and it was a shame.
Dude, I think I had messaged not to like drag the mood, but I actually remembered messaging Gamma after they didn't qualify, and I was like, hey man, I'm sorry, like for what it's worth, I hope like you keep your head up. I thought like I still think you're a good player, like I hope you keep playing, like all that type of thing. And I remember he had a really like a more positive reception to like than you would think, and he was like, yeah, like Neil kind of reminded us like, you know, it sucks, but there's like still more to life than like just Smite, and, like you should like keep your heads high and stuff. And I was like, even if it doesn't seem like a big impact to you, that like even small stuff like that about like coaching and teaching, I feel like the ability to like zoom out a little bit, and like I think that's like a really valuable trait to have, whether you're a player, coach, or anything. So I do feel like that's kind of a cool part about it, even if it doesn't maybe feel like it in the moment.
And I think that's something that's just important for me, especially because like in esports, I think Bear said it like after he was done, like the highs are really high, but the lows are also like really low. And if you like, if Smite is the only thing you're going, like you're double blocking all the time before Worlds, and like it's not going well, it's easy to like get sucked in a lot of negativity.
You're
like
so tunnel visioned on it,
exactly. Especially like if your team's not playing well, or you even individually feel like you're not playing well, it's like if you just don't have that ability to step back and be like, yo, like this isn't everything. I think it can just be like a really negative impact on not only your life, your well-being, but also how you play as well, right? It's only detrimental in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that makes
100%.
sense.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you ever have a moment? Kabam would always make me laugh when he'd watch our scrims. Like he'd be watching our games and he'd be listening to our comms, and we'd do like a play, and he'd be like, he'd say after the game, he's like, the way you guys were talking, like it didn't look like you were doing that on the map. Like what the heck is going on? Like around like a fire giant. Like okay, I'll give it. Like there was a funny example. It was yesterday, I guess. I'll use it. We were calling off a fire giant defense. I think it was in game 3 or 4. I think it was game 4. But we were basically calling off a fire giant defense the entire game, like the entire time, and then like we still contested it,
Yes,
and everybody's
dude.
like, and then after we lost it, and everybody died. They were like, "Wait, why did we do that?" And someone's like, "We should have just called it off," and we're like, "We were all calling it off the entire time, and we still did it."
Oh, man.
But Kabam, we had so many moments where we do plays like that, where we'd be like, "Yeah, don't go in here," and then like we go in and someone dies, and Kabam is like, "How you guys said not to do it, and you still did it anyways?" Like I don't know. I understand what I'm watching. Did you ever have any moments like that when you were coaching, where you're like, "What the heck is going on?"
I definitely had moments like, what is going on, but not like where people would be like, don't do this, and they did it, like stuff like that. Or maybe a little bit. Like sometimes I'm like, even in scrims, sometimes I'll just be like, yo guys, like just don't do this. Like we just win the game if we do nothing, and then someone will do something just like, yo. And sometimes I'll do that too. I'll be like, yo, all we have to do here is like not get picked, and then I walk up to like, and I get picked. I'm like, oh.
I've definitely done that before. I've also had it where I'm like, yo, all we have to do is not let this guy free cast. Like, don't let their mage or hunter or whatever. Like, don't let that guy free cast. And the fight gets lost, and they're like, yeah, did it? Like, we're like, yeah, that guy didn't get touched. We're like, yeah, Merlin killed all of us. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
I just think the biggest thing as a coach, I would just be like, it would just be like I said earlier, you just see a play coming, and you're just like, guys, like really, just don't be doing this. Like this is the only way you lose.
Dude,
like,
it's got to be so much worse too if you're like trying to do something, you like see the other team because you have a top-down view of like the map.
You
see
everything.
the other team coming, you're like, this is not gonna go
Yeah,
well.
100%. You're like, this is like literally game losing right here. Like, oh my god.
Or like your team calls fire giant, and you're like, "Yeah, burst it. No one's close," and then like you see a set.
Yes, like in the back, like steal it, and you're just like, dude.
No one's close. No one's here. It's free.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, I remember
God.
having to play with Kabam. It was on the Dragons, and there was a game we were winning, and I called to dive a tower, and it ended up like working out. I remember watching it back with him because he was like, you guys should have lost the game here. I was like, what do you mean? Like we owned them, we killed everybody. Then he showed it to me, and I was like, oh. and he was like losing his mind. He's like, guys, like we're ahead. Gold Fury's up. We could just go do that. And he's like, he like goes into paint with the map, and he like draws like a big red between their tier 1 and tier 2. He's like, just don't fight here. Like this is. He's like, you can fight at gold, you can fight in mid, you can fight on pyro. He's like, just not right here.
Yeah.
And he just draws a big red box. I'm not even kidding. Literally the next weekend scrims, we do the same thing but on solo. Get wiped, lose the scrim, and I'm like, okay, I think I see what you're saying. I'm like, okay, it
Took a little bit to sink in, but I think we're there now.
I didn't quite get it, but now it's in there.
That's
Don't
good.
worry.
Oh man, I remember. I can't remember if it was Kabam or Chuck that I saw that was telling me it was when you were on the wargs. I think it was Kabam, but he was saying you were talking to Chuck in the hallway, and you're like, dude, how have you done this for so long? It's so stressful or whatever. Like after the game, like after one of the wargs matches, I can't remember if it was Chuck who told me or Kabam, but they were like, and then Kabam, I think it was Kabam, and Kabam's like, ha, he gets it now.
Well, I was literally in the coach booth, like when they make play, I'm literally like popping off the booth, like screaming, like, let's go! like it's insane. It's crazy.
Dude, I feel like Chuck is actually so even keeled too. If he gets stressed, he does not show it.
Well, I mean, he must have years taken off his life from watching us play at Worlds, dude. Like those games for
sure.
him must have just been like awful to watch.
You guys had the most like
winnable games of
like
all time.
yeah, but it's also like the coolest to watch just because of the game state of it. But yeah, it must have been so stressful.
I mean, the most famous game you guys had had to be against us in season
when Fred
7.
like slammed his chair,
Radiance.
like 3 Phoenixes down, like
that was crazy.
yeah.
It was game 4, I think, right?
It was game 4 because game 5 you guys played Anubis. I remember.
That was like a game of inches, basically. Like you guys did every little inch of everything to perfectly to like win that game, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, was that also the game? It was like I remember you guys went for an end call where I remember watching it. I was like, they have to go for it, but like there's just no way. And I remember like you guys like perfectly microed like one person, like stayed back, got all the waves, like barely kept them out of the Titan to kill it. Like
exactly.
The other people ran up and ended it.
Because we wiped them and we were still
EFG.
3 Phoenixes down. We had EFG though. Cause I think we had won a fight, ran to EFG, like got the EFG, like and then you guys came to fight us or something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
It must have been how it
yeah,
went.
yeah.
And then it was me, Fred, and I think it was Scary.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah, me, Fred, and Scary were alive, and right waves were crashing into our Titan that was like really low, and we were just like, we have to just run it down mid and like try and end and like hope like the Titan doesn't die because Paul was spawning and he was still and he cleaned up all the waves. And I think like as we were running down mid to end, we had our right solo wave spawn and like slow down the fire wave. So then Paul respawns, clears it, and we go into like the mid Phoenix to end. And like as soon as like the mid Phoenix dies, like I start like channeling my Stoic out, like running in, like it was like the sequence like really.
Dude, I remember watching that and thinking like, I don't know if Ronnie's TP was down or what exactly the scenario was, but I remember watching it, I'm like. And I was like, no one's back.
Like it wasn't even gonna work.
I'm like, someone's got it back, right? Like, can they really like actually just end? And it was like, it was so perfect. And I was like, I like as you guys were doing, I'm like, this is actually the only play they have to win, so I respect it, and it like worked out. I was like, that was. Well, the second you guys won that game, I was like, they're gonna win.
Yeah,
like, for sure.
I remember the comms too. I can't remember who exactly said what. I think I was like, can we like end here? And I think it was like Steve or someone's like, we have to. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally the game's over. We don't end like right here.
Yeah.
And then I think Steve we were just like right waves, and everyone was just like, we can't even bother. Just like run down mid, and like if minions end, like it's like who cares? Like we can't not go for this right now.
Dude, I remember I made the grave mistake of I watched because we had played the set before you guys, so we were already done. I remember watching the first two games. I don't remember if they were stomps, but I remember you guys winning. And I remember after you guys were up 2-0, and I'm like, okay, like it's the third finals against Radiance in a row, whatever.
Well, I think we won.
2-1.
It was 2-1. We won the first game, and then I think we
won the second game,
and then we won the third.
Oh,
game.
That's what it was. It was
really close to third game. I think
it was that's what it was. It was in the middle of game 4. You guys started stomping. It was getting late, and I really wanted to go to the gym to work out because I hadn't gone like earlier in the day. I remember like the middle of game 4. I'm like, okay, like it was like you guys got your first fire, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna win.
Yeah.
I remember going there. I remember like 20 minutes into my workout or something, my like phone just blowing up from our group chat, and they're like, no way, they can actually win or something. I remember watching the last like 10 minutes on my phone, and I was like, holy crap, like there's just no shot.
That was crazy.
It was crazy, yeah.
Oh my god, that being on the other side of that, we made so many bad plays.
Yeah,
dude.
dude, that's the worst. Yeah.
I remember the play in mid. Paul Scylla ulted, 3 of us, me, Benji, and adapting.
I remember that play exactly, yeah. Because Kenneth walked up first, and I was like, I just have to go. Like I'm going on him.
Yeah, Kenneth walked up, and then someone's like,
I blink plucked him.
Or someone called like, we need help in the back, and Kenneth got out. I think after you plucked him.
Yeah, he had beads.
And instead of going in, he turns around, and then he turns around again, and then he turns around again, and then he's like next to me and Benji. We all get hit by Scylla.
Yeah.
Boom, and then we just get wiped after that. It was so bad, but oh my god.
Yeah, I remember like there was like one of those things like 2 or 3 sequences where I was like, we just need them to fight us here like right now, otherwise it's like really hard. And then you guys kind of walked up, and I was like, we just have to do this. Like it's the only thing that could be good.
That's what we did against you guys.
I remember thinking that too. I remember I was like, we literally need to grow up right now and fight them, or the game's over. And I saw you guys walk into us, so like this is like we have.
That was actually an example of that type of play. I remember my comms. I remember being so clear because it was about to be EFG, and we had 2 Phoenixes on them down. I remember saying, "Look, we have a minute until fire. We're not pushing. We're just going here to make sure they can't shove out waves. I do not want to fight." I kept saying it like, "Do not get picked. Do not fight. Do not engage."
Yeah.
First, and then I see. Look, it is what it is. I see
a horse.
I see a horse just go into a Raijin, just one tapped, and I'm like, okay, like just play to live. And I'm just like, dude, a fucking chorus. Like, of course we're doing that. Like, it's so criminal.
But I remember literally saying like, we need to go fight them right now, or like it's gonna be really hard. And I saw you guys walk up, and I was like this is like my dream come true. As I was thinking, like this is literally my dream come true.
Yeah, I'm like, why? I remember just saying like, there's not a world where we're ever giving them this. Like, I remember, I think it was.
Because if you guys didn't fight us there,
I don't know if it was Sam or Ronnie, but someone was playing Thor, and they hammered the wave. And I remember me and Max.
It was Sam.
Yeah, me and Max
playing Achilles.
Yeah, that's right. Me and Max were on the other side of the wall, and I was like, "Look, we're gonna go here. We're just gonna force this out. We're gonna force this out. And we're walking away." And I was Kepri with everything up. He was Merlin with everything up, and I'm like, "We're forcing the alt. We're walking away." And then we go, and Sam instantly, we got his beads like right away. He like walked into us. We got his beads. He hammered out. He like did whatever. And then I turn, I'm like, okay, nice, get out. And I turn to the right, and that's when I see the Kwan just go in. And I'm just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Because I remember, and even then, you guys, it was still like this close. Because like Scary got out with like 1 HP. like, and then TP'd back in full
That's
HP.
right,
You used like a
yeah.
ton on him, and he gets at 1 HP and TP's back, and it's like if he was dead there, like the game's over too, like stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the game of inches is actually so crazy because there were multiple times I thought we could have ended the game against you guys. I remember I've shown it before on stream, but there was like the game 5 season 7. It was a 5v4, but it was like I wish I should have given Billy the clip, but like it was like a 5v4 and Zap was Cupid and Alec was Kakal, and he basically like soloed him on the Phoenix. Like he got both Zaps rock, just killed him. And then I remember Paul was Mori, and we heard his Mori like stealth. And Alec like jump predicted him, and with like the tail of the Kakalan jump, he got him out of stealth. And then I dash Kepri rooted him. We got his beads, his alt, and then he's like in fountain. And then Scary's Cthulhu. I plucked him around a corner. We got his alt and his thorns, and then you came in his Kuzmo to save him, and we got your alt and thorns. And I'm like, we are 5 people alive. I'm a Kepri with alt. I have double relics. My ADC like Panda was full HP. Rama both relics up. I'm like, just end the game. Like literally just int for Panda. I'm like, just int for Panda. Literally just keep him alive. And dude, it's so troll because like I swear moments like that you just got to go for it. But everyone's like, it's like understandable. Like it's just such a high tension moment. It's so hard to like pull the trigger. That's why I thought like your game against them, like it was just so impressive that you like actually just pull the trigger right away.
Yeah, that like season 7 Radiance that year as well, when we played against you guys in the finals in the first phase when we went to game 5, like that crazy long set.
Yeah.
We had like, I feel like game 5 we had like 4 chances to end the game, and we never just ripped it. And sometimes you just gotta
remember
rip
how that
it.
game started, by the way? I forget until recently. I think someone brought it up. Do you remember the start of that game?
I don't remember the start.
Dude,
refresh me.
Kenneth was like 0-7 in like 13 minutes.
Oh yeah. No, I remember that.
Okay. Yeah, he was like 0-7 in 13 minutes. We were super far ahead, and I remember it was another one of those plays where I'm like, do not do this, and they lose. And I remember we won a Gold Fury fight, and we're up a lot. We're up like 7K at 15 minutes or something. It's like a stomp. And I remember saying their only play is to roll fire. I'm like their only play is to try to like pick us at fire, to try to force fire. I remember like, just don't be alone. And I remember Twig is 0 mana after gold, and he's like, oh, I have an item and 100 gold, and he rolls into mid and tries to get the wave. You guys kill him and clown at fire. And I remember you guys ended up like coming back in the game a little bit, and it's just so crazy how just like little stuff like that happens.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that game, I remember Twig was Raijin and Kenneth was Daji, and I think Kenneth had like 19 deaths or something in that game. It was crazy.
It was insane. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember the
such a
slash
crazy
line.
game.
And I remember he was like 4-19, I think, to end the game, or 5-19. But I remember like, Twig is ulting me at back camps, like he's Raijin, boom, boom, ulting me, and Kenneth's just behind me and he dies. He wasn't even aiming for him. And I was like, oh, dang it.
That's so good.
That's like my one memory. The 2 memories, and then the other memory I had was that I built Masamune instead of a mana regen item, and I would have killed Twig at the end of the game. I plucked him, and he had no beads. He was 1 HP, and I was hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough mana to push him, and if I push autoed him, he's dead. And my mana ticked like right after he got out of my like from coming back down, then moved out of the way, and then he lived, and I was like, dang. And then we lost the fight. And I don't think the game ended after that, but like right there, we could have won if I just had enough mana. And if I just bought a different item, it was crazy.
Dude, one of my favorite things about it's just so funny to remember in small things. We played in the semis right before we played you guys in that tournament. We played SSG, and I think they were the 2nd seed or something. They were really good though that whole year.
Yeah.
And I remember we didn't have like a god pool for Twig at that point. Like he was new to mid, and like he played like some of the meta stuff. It was like a Raijin Merlin meta, so he like played it a little bit, but it wasn't his like favorite. And I remember at one point in scrims, he's just like, guys, like if we're just winning our lanes, like why don't I just play Nuwa and we'll just like have a good late game? I'll just crutch our late game. He's like, I'll just be the late game crutch, you know? He would just say it in a joking way like that. And I remember that was when Cherry was playing Kali every game, and we're like, okay, we'll give it to him a game. Like let's see like how it goes. And I remember like there were like 3 times in a row Sam and I would kept trying to kill Cherry, and we're not even considering Nuwa. Like Sam and I keep trying to kill him. He gets out at 1 HP because he ults, and then Twig like kills him, and we're like, oh wait, we counterpicked him. It wasn't even on purpose. And then I was
awesome.
like, it happened like after the 2nd time. I was like, wait, are they screwed? I was playing Kuzumbo, and I was like, wait, if I just go on that guy every fight, he's dead. Like they're screwed. And then Sam's like, yep, just how we drew it up. Like,
Sam loves saying that.
He
man.
would say so many stuff. He'd say so much like that. Do you remember the
man.
Benji play?
Yes,
On the
dude.
Wukong? Dude, that's my favorite thing ever. Dude, Baskin the other
Oh, what?
Baskin the other week, like a Sam highlight came up or something where we talked about that play. Or like, I don't know if we watched it or we talked about it, but it came up. And for people who don't know, there was a play where Sam went to go gank Benji. Sam was a Wheelix and Benji was Wukong. And Sam, he whiffed his 3 so hard. He just absolutely threw, like, Benji, like, backstep juked him or something. Sam missed it as hard as you could possibly miss it. And Benji got out of combat, and then he blinked into the Wheelix 3.
Like the last animation.
Yes.
With his back turned. And if you watch Sam's point of
It
view.
turns away.
Yes, dude, if you watch Sam's point of view, he literally misses his 3, turns back to Benji to look at him, realizes he blinked, turns to the blink, and he's like, oh, he's out. And then he turns away, and then he realizes he's not
He
going
did a double take.
Yeah, he double takes it. He's like, oh shit. And then he ultimate, he ultimate kills him. And
Your comms are so funny that you release. You're like, nice guys.
I remember in the moment Alec was like, wait, what? And I remember he got the kill. I'm like, nice play, Sam. Nice job. And then Sam's just like, what just happened? And then after the set, I remember he got interviewed, and they were like, yeah, so you intend to do that? And he's like, yeah, of course. Like that. He's like, I knew he'd blink. He's gonna go this way.
That's
like
so
it was
funny,
so
man.
good. I loved it.
That's so funny.
That's great.
I don't know how much longer you guys want to go. We have been going for a bit, but
I'm down. I don't mind.
yeah, we could talk about the invade meta a little bit. For those of you watching on Twitch, we actually had asked Billy, who's part of the production staff at Hi-Res, who helps us out. He got the map for, I believe, season 6 and season 7. This is season 6 behind us. For those of you,
What a
who can
beautiful
see.
map.
Yeah.
Perfect, if you ask me.
And I think we've mentioned it a lot, of course, because Aurora and I are support players, as Neil is himself, and we've referenced this invade meta a lot. And I think something that's really that is kind of lost in translation is I think most of us agree, like the invade meta in general, especially for like casuals and ranked, it's like miserable.
Awful.
It's miserable when it happens every game. But I think all of us speak really highly of this meta, not just because it wasn't even the invade for me. It was like the actual like start of the game, the map play.
It was like a chess match.
Yeah, exactly. It was really interesting. So I was wondering if you guys would want to maybe go through that a little bit and kind of talk about just how that was and just how the start of the games were, and like how just explain to people like why they saw what they saw.
Like why invading was happening, basically.
Yeah.
Like I remember back in that day, like junglers were so broken, and
Yes.
jungler would show up in your lane level 2,
Jungle Burst.
just absolutely annihilate you. Maybe they'd even be level 3 in your 2 and just like take you to church.
maybe 3 when
You're
you're
going
2,
back to fountain. Every single jungler like be in this lane at 2 minutes, otherwise like dual lane's game's over. It doesn't matter. You could have the most broken dual lane pressure in the game, it's over.
Yep.
And so like I said earlier, like Jeff or something like showed up to speed, and then people started thinking like maybe we should just like grief the jungler and go to the jungler and slow them down because they're the most impactful role on the map by a mile. And I'm like some crappy like level 1 support, like no farm anyways. Like why don't I just go to this dude who's running the game and like slow him down as much as I can, and then like you're taking a less valuable early game like role off the map for like a really valuable one, was kind of how I saw it at least.
Yeah.
What I would always say is like, I'm so sick of getting ganked.
Seriously.
If I can't beat
Seriously.
him, I'm joining him.
Real.
That's literally what I said. I'm like, if I can't beat this jungler, I'm
like-
right next to him, baby.
It's like rocking up at one-on-one in a basketball court. Like, I got that guy. Like me, I got that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny. We all had different interpretations because, like, I remember our season 4, like, Worlds meta was I would literally start alone. It was our mid ADC would start in mid, and our jungle solo would start in solo every game. And we would have different variants of, like, if they do this, we do this. If they do that, we do this, like, off the start.
Yeah.
But we always were 1-2-2 from duo to solo, how we started. And the logic was there, like, I'm the lowest damage role. So,
Yeah.
when like, back then, the buff spawned after the waves, like, by a good bit. So you had to clear and then go to buff. So I'm like, I'm the lowest damage. I'm the least impactful here. Like, I was literally there to hold Panda's wave for whenever he decided it was time to come collect it. And that's kind of how I saw this as well, where I was like, I'm just the lowest damage pressure on the map. Like, my role is, like, if you can play a level 1 character with a CC, like, you played a lot of Herc back then. I was pretty slow to hop on that train, or, like, RDO, that type of thing. I remember Neil playing a lot. And I remember just thinking, like, the biggest thing I thought with the invade meta was basically leaving me alone for everyone else to go play the map and get the farm. But also the way I saw it was that, like, okay, that was when they introduced the mechanic for supports to get bonus XP from behind, right? So you were kind of gaming that system where I'm like, I'm purposely behind and I will catch up, and it feels way worse for the jungler to, like, if the support and jungler are the same level and they're the ones with that mechanic, if I'm a support and I stand in mid wave, I can have impact because like I can go like hit their character, I can go ward, do whatever. The jungler does not want to be there. Like if the jungler's standing there in front of you, you're like, okay, these lanes are safe, nothing to be scared of. And I remember thinking like, on this map specifically, my favorite part of the invade meta that I think people really misunderstood was like, we didn't have to steal the camp. We were literally there to buy as much time as humanly possible. Because I remember like, I don't know if you guys did this, but I remember like kind of trolling, but not really. I'd play like Sobek and just pluck them off the camp whenever they tried to pull it. Just random stuff like that. It was so funny to me.
Yeah, for me, like I feel like it was like kind of like a culmination of like me playing Smite all the seasons prior. I always look at it like season 5 was kind of like a season I had someone that I kind of played with along the way from each season. Like I had like I played with Kabam in season 2, the best in season 2 as well. Divios in season 3. Season 4 I played with Sino, and then the new guy was Moswell that I played with in season 5, and then in Kabam I've had history with since like season 0. And it was funny, like it kind of reminded me of like that season 5 team, like with the jungle thing. I invaded like all the time in all the other past maps. I used to play a Wheelix a bunch in season 2, and I'd always invade people. Meerkat remembers that for sure.
He does talk about that.
Season 0, I'd invade every single game. Like we would queue like 5-mans, or if I queued with like 3-mans. I mean, there's videos like I have in my old YouTube channel. It's called the Buddy Block Tutorial, and it'd just be us invading and trying to block people into the camp. And it was like I loved invading on every single map, and I really felt like there was like, and then season 3 as well with the eager invade strategy that we had, where everybody hated it, where it was like 1 minute F6s or whatever. And then season 4 I did a little bit of it, but it was like not as much with like the Erlang and stuff. But season 5 came around, I think I got away from the invading. We kind of stuck to more, I guess, playing like,
well, back then it was like, I don't know how much you guys remember, but that was the purple would spawn. I remember the time is the purple spawned at 33 seconds, and all the waves met in the middle of the lane at 30 seconds. So you had a 3-second window between. So I remember a lot of people would play comps where like, I remember you guys would play like Izanami and stuff. People would play stuff to basically tower line you, and then go to your purple instantly. And if you didn't have enough time, like what a support could do is like, say I'm a Fafnir, I would like hammer the wave, and then I would leave, let my ADC finish it, and I would like go grief them on purple.
I remember that.
And I remember thinking like, I think the spawn times were pretty similar with this map, and I remember thinking like, it's kind of what you guys said, like in the meta it was so volatile in duo because like you were kind of forced to pick good wave clear. And then if you didn't, like they could invade your purple, but if you did your purple and you had to go back to get the wave, you could invade their red. So like just having duo wave priority was so broken back then, and the jungler was the only one to stop you. And then like this was a year where I kind of feel like, I'm sure you remember it, where people were like, oh, invading's like kind of cheesy, whatever. I feel like people dropped that, and the strategy this year I felt like leveled up like so much.
The thing is too, I think season 5 Worlds we saw Deathwalker do it first, where he invaded Kennet on speed when they put energy, and he was like
below
like full boots.
Shoot him. He farmed him.
He literally he 2v1 killed them, right? Stole the buff as Amma, I think, or something crazy. The full boots. And he just wrecked him on his own speed buff, and then the game was just over. Like it was they were just done. And I remember when we played in the finals, we like galaxy brained our strategy. Like we like owned ourselves in game 1, because our goal was to find Deathwalker so he couldn't invade our speed. And like what we ended up doing is we got ourselves killed by doing that, and we lost. Like,
you like brought him there, didn't you? And then you like he like fought you at the speed and like owned you guys or something, didn't he?
No, we found him and we poked him out, and we're like, okay, let's just keep invading. And then we invaded their speed instead, and then they started vote started in mid with Wolfie, and then we're like, oh shoot, they have an exp or whatever god vote was is like in mid, and then he's just wailing away at us, and they got like 2 kills, and we like completely owned ourselves. But like that Worlds, we did the thing where we started 3 and duo. We scrimmed you guys exclusively.
That was so cool
strategy.
to watch.
I remember I thought of the strategy. I was like, we should do this in the regular phase, like back like before any of the playoffs or before Worlds even happened. I was like, this is OP. We should do this. And I remember we had a talk about it, team talk about it, and I was like, I mean, we're winning right now. I guess we don't really need to try something new. Like we said earlier, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But like I'm like,
Dude.
maybe we whip it out a little bit down the line.
Were we the first team you tested it against?
Yeah, that was the first team we tested it against.
Dude, I remember so vividly that first game because no surprises here. When Max and I played together, we did play to win the lane very hard. And I remember we played against you guys, and we were used to like the RDOs. And I mean, I feel like we always try to have like some sort of answer, like every draft, where like we really prioed it. And we really wanted to have like that side of the map. Like we wanted to be strong there. Because also like on this map, this was it's before. This is the first year of Totem, but before that, there like for the season 5 strat, there was no Totem, and there were no like fire imps, which there were in season 4 and 3. So it was a very like duo lane heavy thing because they also moved the speed down from back. So like if
Junglers
you
need so much help.
if you traded the map and they got red purple oracles mid harpies, and the other side of the map got backs blue mid harpies, it just was uneven. So just everyone overloaded the duo side of the map. And I remember we played against you guys, and I think we scrimmed against you like previously, and like we definitely had to like try really hard to beat you in spin in duo, like god pick wise, like it was important for us. I remember the first game Divios came over. I remember like taking like 10 minutes between the scrims or something. I thought about it, and even like during the scrim, I'm thinking about it a little bit, and I'm like, and Benji had asked like, "Yo, like what was that? Like how did it?" And I was like, "I actually don't think I have a way to counter it. Like I actually think we have to do it." And I remember like it's so rare that I come to a realization like that on a strategy instantly, but I'm like, I actually think if you don't do this, you are going to lose the game. And I remember going into Worlds, it was so funny, but we talked about it with both Kabam and Cyclone when we had them on. Like they had the like if you could draw like a plan on how to get your Worlds run to go well, they got it. Like we were the only team that did the strat. We lost first round to you guys.
I remember you tried it once.
Yeah.
You guys botched it,
was
so
bad.
bad.
They
botched
Benji
it
like didn't
super
commit
bad.
to it.
Yes,
I
he
feel
did
like
not he did not commit because he was annoyed that I was Baron.
Yeah.
Was like basically no, actually he wasn't annoyed at me. He was annoyed because Max's keyboard was in French.
I remember that. That was so
we played after our kill, and his keybinds were off, and he spammed all his potions before anything started. So we go into the game, we have 0 potions, and Benji's like, "This is a waste of time. I'm going back." And then the first game you guys played, Raffer literally like 1v3'd you guys and first blooded you.
I remember that was insane.
I was like, dude, I literally said we won the game. I'm like, this is the best thing that could have happened to us. I'm like, everybody's gonna think this is terrible. Yeah, that's literally what I said after the first game. I'm like, everybody thinks this strategy's bad. We just completely messed it up. Like, we're gonna run it back again, and they're just gonna get wrecked by it the next game.
I remember talking to.
I remember hearing from Dig.
That
story.
I remember talking to people after the quarterfinals. I remember saying like they're going to 3-0 Dig and it will not be close. I promise you it will not be close.
I remember talking to Fred, and I'm not gonna like name specific names, but he was like, Fred was like, "Yo, should we like come up with a strategy against that?" Like, and then they were so cocky. So on the team was like, "Nah, like it doesn't matter. Like we're just gonna like own those guys. We're just the best." And then Fred's like, what? And then they like you guys rock up and like just stomp them, and they were like, "Yo."
I have never been more confident in my life that a set would be a 3-0 than that one, because the second that happened against Obey, like I watched the way Dig played, and like we scrimmed against them one time, and they like owned us, but like I remember hearing at Worlds like the whispers were that they were pumped because we were like 9-1 or something that phase. We were like defending champs, like whatever, who cares. And they were like, "Oh yeah, like we beat the best NA team. Like this is so free. Like we're gonna farm everyone," because they were the #1 CDU team, and we literally didn't show the strat at all. And I was like, one, they're so confident against us. They think we're better than them, and then we lost, and then you guys entered the strat a little bit. And I'm like, they are going to get so farmed. I was like, this game is so over. Like, it will not be close. I loved watching that.
My
set.
favorite.
It is cool watching, like when you're the guinea pig and you get to like watch them do the game. You're like, dude, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it was so funny. I enjoyed that so much.
My favorite thing is when they try to do it game 2. Trix like came over, or whoever
Friday
came over, and they tried to do it. Trix was playing Fenrir, and he jumps over the wall
and he misses,
into
he
us.
doesn't hit anyone, right?
And Divius is like, he cowabunga, and then he just terra-walled him, and we killed him. And Divius is like, you can't do that.
That must be the most obnoxious front line I've ever. Like the two bouncers, like just so tall, and it's like, you can't speak, you can't do that.
Divius was like 16-year-old, like 6'5"
He was gigantic. Niklaus Newmare puts some respect on his name.
Dude, he was.
That was the funniest thing I love. He's like, dude, the Fender just cowabunga in. What is he doing?
Yeah.
So every time someone like ints or jumps in, I call it the cowabunga from that.
That's funny.
Yep. Do you guys remember? So in season 6, like after it developed a little bit, because like at the start of any meta like that, the reason I brought up the strategy thing and like adopting it right away is like normally you have people who are pretty hesitant, like not to stereotype, but like I think the 3 of us were pretty on board with like we understood what
I was so down.
Yeah, I think we all understood like why each other was doing it and how they thought about it like pretty quickly. And I remember none of the EU supports did it. Like it was so like Emilzy, Kalas, and Trix at the time. Raffer as well. Yeah, they just did not do it.
Raffer never did it.
Ever.
Never.
I feel like that team though was the only team that came up with pretty good strategies to counteract it.
Team, the Raffer team.
Yeah, that Raffer team to counteract it without doing it.
Yeah, I remember they owned me when I tried to do it.
I remember honestly that team was just
smart.
Maybe cherry gap honestly, but like. I remember watching one of the games. It might have been you actually, but there was one of you that invaded them, and I think we played them the following week. And they insta-killed one of you. And I remember going back into spectator, and like what they did was like you could tell it was so pre-planned. Like they set up wards, and then they watched down a certain path. So like if you were coming, they knew, and they like instantly tried to kill you. It was really really good the way they did it. Do you guys remember like? I remember when I saw that. That's when I started like on the map. Like I would go around the duo side of the map.
Yeah, I love that.
I would start going between their Phoenix and their tier 2.
Yeah.
And it was so
because you had to find ways to get there without getting poked.
Yeah.
That's why I like this meta so much. Is I felt like especially like when we were prepping for like you guys as well. Just if you had a really good understanding of like what the enemy thought you were gonna do, you could kind of like take it a step further and they think we're gonna. This is like the most basic level. If you're a bit more advanced, you're gonna like take it like I'm gonna counter what you want to do, and then if you're even more advanced, you're gonna know okay they're gonna do the advanced version. Let's try and something to counteract that. And so it's like a lot of like thinking like 2 or 3 moves down the line, a lot of like complexity, trying to figure out which jungler wants to be where and where they're gonna be. Because the sport you had to find the jungler was a big thing. Like where's this guy starting? He might start their red, he might start our red, he might start his speed, he might like try and invade like their like
dude.
So
from
many
my
places
experience, I don't know if this is actually like the order of events, but just from our experience scrimming. I remember they were like, so it was when I saw the Renegades kill one of you. I think it was Neil that they like set up.
That sounds about right. Me dying for first blood sounds. That
they
sounds
set up,
pretty
they
accurate
set up the death
historically.
trap on you. I remember watching that and I'm like, okay, well now I'm gonna start considering like, can I go through the duo side of the map? I also considered at one point I was like, Alec, why don't you go with me? And it was like I think Cherry was the one watching the blue buff side of the map. I was like, Alec, or fine, okay, whatever you guys want to call him. I'm like, why don't you come with me and we're gonna kill that guy? I'm gonna go horrific, and you're gonna like we're gonna have a CC character and we're gonna kill him for doing that. We did that once in a scrim and it worked. And then I remember like I'd go up the duo side of the map, and then I remember you guys. I actually loved scrimming your team because I don't think you guys had like the best record, but I still thought like in terms of practice, you guys were one of my favorite teams because you were one of the few teams like people would stubbornly keep their jungle there and just accept like, oh, I'm screwed, like dumb meta, like whatever. But Sam would actually be the first jungler who moved around.
He was really smart.
Sam would be like, oh, if they're gonna invade me on speed, I'm just gonna go do their red. Like I'm gonna go do their red back, so I'm gonna loop around and then like do this. And I remember like you guys were the first team that did that against us, so I thought it was really smart too.
I felt that like me and I felt after that world like me and Sam just have like the best understanding of like what we should be doing and like where we thought they were going to be. From my perspective, that's what we felt. We felt really confident in it.
I remember right before Worlds, Twig got annoyed actually because you guys were both on. You played each other, but you were both on the opposite side of the bracket. And it's very rare I feel this way, but like I was pretty sure we were going to make the finals because we had like the easy side of the bracket. Like PK at the time, that was when like they didn't have zeros and Ro was stepping in, and then they had Dig, and Dig was like, I just knew Dig was like mentally imploded basically. So I was pretty confident we would make the finals of that. So we like kind of limited how much we actually scrimmed against you guys a little bit. We scrimmed against you guys a lot, actually, I think. But
no, you guys stopped screaming against us.
Yeah.
After
I think you were screaming us
like
a bit.
2 days.
Because we weren't like definitely were not favorites.
Because we did a different strategy that we did against them in game 1, and you guys thought it was so bad, and then you would rage. They would literally lock in 5 Sunders, Fafnir, Hebo, Neath, and they would kill us and instant F6, and then they said we're done screaming you guys for the rest of the year. That's literally what they said in the post lobby chat. I was like, okay.
Yeah, dude, I remember Twig got really annoyed because the difference between scrimming your guys' teams or scrimming like the Renegades team with Raffer, it was insane because Raffer just wouldn't invade. So I remember I literally had to like prep Twig. I literally had to go do 1v1s on those scenarios and stuff just to like get him ready. We did
practice.
There was one day I just did like 50 with him. We just kept like spam F6 and playing the speed, and like we were just like talk about like the chess match of it, and it helped a lot. But it was so funny. Like, do you remember the exact? Well, I can tell from my point of view about the scrim thing. I remember we were scrimming them, and something that I thought was really smart was the whole idea was to get to the jungler, right? So like, kind of like I was saying, there was like the Renegades approach of like you block your jungler in, so like they would have people watch paths and ward it and stuff. And then I think that ended up getting broken because I think a lot of people did it. But from my perspective, again, I would start going behind them in duo. And then it was really hard because if your ADC came and tried to check me, then I would have Arco shove the wave, and now we would 2v1 invade purple, and he was level 2 off the wave. So now instead of your jungler's game being over, your ADC's game is over.
And then the red buff.
And we would go invade the red because I'm just sitting there. So I remember that was one version we did. Or if you didn't stop me, I would just go around, and then I'm where I want to be anyways. And if you want to kill me at Phoenix, by all means, go for it, because I'm just going to win every single lane off of it, was one way I would do it. And then there was... I remember what you guys did I thought was really smart, and my team, the reason they got really annoyed is because they just brought the jungler with them.
Yeah.
Like, they were trying to protect the jungler, but they brought Scream.
To the red buff, I remember.
They brought Scream with them to the farm, so he would go to the red buff, and I remember from my perspective...
Boxes out,
we would get owned a lot, and I remember... I was telling them, like, my team kept getting annoyed because, like, the games kept getting reset. Like, if I stole the buff, you guys would reset it. And they were getting annoyed. They're like, this is so dumb. Can't you just do that? And I'm like... Well, you got to understand from their perspective, they're like trying the strat, and like I shouldn't get it.
You
like,
should not, no.
Yeah, I'm like, I shouldn't get it, or if I contest like this, I should die.
I should die, yeah.
Yeah, so I kept trying to tell them, I'm like, it's going to be annoying. I need you to let me play this 1v3 a little bit. I'm like, you need to let me play the 1v3 because I tried to explain it to him so much. I'm like, you remember what the Renegades did up here? They're just moving it down here. And I was like, there's different paths I have to go through, a different way to do it. And it was, I loved it, but my team hated it.
So what we had, so we would bring Scream with us to red, and then we would try to show the other team that we were all there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we would make it known that we were there, basically. So they'd be like, "Oh shoot, we have to react to them being here." And then we'd have Sot on solo side of the jungle with teleport, and he would just look for the other jungler. And if he ever found him, I would leave and I would go with Sot, and we would try to kill the other jungler, and that was like the whole plan.
Yeah.
And like Scream and Ven would just try to, or Scream, Ven, and Cyclone would just try to kill someone, like you said in the 1v3. Like if their support came in, they would try to kill him or whatever. But yeah, I remember against you guys in the quarterfinals, we game one, it went really well. Like
you guys stomped us in game one.
Yeah, we executed everything perfectly, and we felt really good about the strategy. Game two, we did the stupid galaxy brain thing again, where we overthought and over-adjusted because you guys
try to predict what they're doing.
So yeah, what you guys would do to us in scrims, you would group up and just try to kill us while we walked to red, and you'd go Sunder and try to kill us. And I think it was, I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3, but we did that. I think it was game 3. I don't remember. Do you remember what happened in game 2 in that set? I remember it was game 3. I remember game 3.
What am I playing game 2? I don't even remember.
I don't even remember either.
I just remember thinking to ourselves after that happened, I said, we don't have time to figure out how to beat this. We should just do what they're doing to them and just copy it and just run it at them. Because I thought to myself that whatever the next thing is, the next progression, you guys know what to do with the next progression. So if we try and like figure out what you got, like how to beat that, you guys already know the solution.
Yeah, so I knew.
So I thought thinking and trying to do it that way, I thought was going to be pointless. I thought
what you guys did was actually so smart in game 2. You picked Uller mid.
Yeah, and I remember you said because we wanted pressure. I remember you said like we let Paul bit Uller was like it was over.
That was the X factor because no one else played that, and that character. If once you're level 2, that character is like insanely strong.
And Paul literally
especially in that meta. Yeah, so
he was insane.
So yeah, we played Uller mid, and that was like the difference maker in all the fights. You guys just had a better fight. Wherever Uller was at, you guys were just winning the fight.
Dude, I remember that's when my team gave up on the scrims, is because it was exactly what you said. Our adjustment was, it was two things. It was either let me play the 1v3, which is like it's pretty risky, and I had like explained it to them, and they're like not fully on board, or it was, guys, if we have a better fight at level 1, I just want to take it. And I remember like my teammates hated me for this because I didn't like rage, but I was very firm when I'm like, if you are not with me, like I'm like, I need these wards. I'm like, I need a ward here and I need a ward here, and then I can play the start the way I need to. And I'm like, if you do not come protect me to ward, I am going to die anyways. I do not care. Like I would do it. It actually happened in season 7. I was still invading, but it was on the purple red side of the map because they put like it was hog on speed and like just jungle crutch. I think it was Invader's Curse on speed at one point too, like earlier in that year. And I remember saying, like, I used to drill it into people. I'm like, if you do not group with me and ward at the start of the game, I am not changing what I'm doing. If you want to play down a first blood, that's on you, not on me. And I remember in scrims, I used to get annoyed because I'm like, you need to buy quicker. Like, buy quicker, get here. And that's when they got annoyed because it was that scrim. We literally, like, dude, we were like Osiris, Neith, Fafnir, Ullr, like Hebo, literally sprinted at them. Like, we were at your guys' red buff before you were, and it wasn't to invade. It was literally just, we're killing them. And it was so troll.
Okay, I remember game 2 now. So game 2, you guys had the Ullr mid. That was the first thing that was really good.
You remember? Yeah, I've been trying to think the whole time.
I don't remember what you were playing. I was Jing 10. Ven was Kukulkan.
I remember the Kukulkan.
Yeah, I don't remember what god. Were you Bacchus, maybe? In that game, or
I could have been, yeah. I definitely could have been. That rings kind of a bell.
Or Serket. No, you were Serket.
Wasn't that game 3?
I think he was Serket game 3.
Serket was game 3. Okay,
I think I was Bacchus.
Maybe we were Bacchus.
I think I was Bacchus. I think you're right.
Okay, so I remember what happened now. So we did that strat. You guys mirrored us. And what ended up happening is I think Sam ended up at a red buff. I can't remember if it was our red buff or yours.
I think it was yours because, like I said, I was like, literally, we don't have time to think about. Let's just do what they're doing.
Yeah. So Sat's job was to find the jungler. Sat found him at red, and Sat 1v3 stole red buff from you guys. With Amma. He was Amma. He outsecured you guys at red. And then we had a pretty good start going because Scream got it like a pretty good beginning of the game.
Was he dodgy at that game 2?
He was dodgy game 1, I'm pretty sure.
He was
dodgy game 1 because I think I played Athena and he was dodgy.
Game 2 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but we had a good start. Sok got that buff. He TP's back to Soul Lane. And then what ends up happening is that we don't have any mid pressure, which is fine because they have Ullr, and we're like, let's just not fight around mid.
Yeah.
But Scream calls to gank duo lane. It goes wrong, and Sam and Zap, I think, get like a double kill.
Oh, yeah.
And then Scary, I think Sam ganks after for Soul Lane. And I think, or no. No, that's game 3, actually, I'm remembering. But no, they got a double kill in duo. And then you guys have duo pressure and mid pressure. And I think Cyclone was playing Morgan as well. So it's like Morgan's kind of hard to play from behind. I can't remember. No, but maybe that was game 2. Yeah, that was game 2 because I remember.
Those were the games where Zap was playing ESET games 1 and 2. I remember that now.
He played on both.
No, Cyclone played ESET. We banned it. You never played ESET. That was.
We played it in Space Station.
That's Space Station. Yeah.
Renegades, or whatever.
Or Renegades, yeah. But you guys got ahead in duo, so you just had mid and duo pressure. And we just lost because you guys just rammed us down. Game 3. We made the adjustment. They're like, okay, they're picking Ullr now. They're picking stuff that's stronger to fight. So I'm going to go Sunder, and we're going to fight them at level 1. We try to make the adjustment that you guys made to us in scrims, and we're like, we're just going to run in. And then what ended up happening is Sam was at our speed. He was at the other speed.
Oh, yeah.
The Pele run around.
Scream and Ven chased him, right?
Yeah, but what happened was we're like, okay, this is great. Sat saw him, so we're like, okay, we know where he's at. And if we ever, the key to our plan was if Sat found the jungler, we were in an amazing spot. So I go over with Sat to get there, and usually I had Horrific every game. I was playing Horus, and if Sat saw him pull our speed buff,
and he fearlesses him,
If I'm there with Horrific, he dies instantly. But I had Sunder because we made the adjustment to kill them. So I'm Horus there with Sunder, and I just. Like, I dash in to get closer to do, like, what I would normally do, and I have Sunder. I Sunder him, and we don't kill him.
He was already gone. He ran away.
He runs out, and then I make the bad call, or I think I make the bad call. Yeah, I was like, I should have chased him after the game, like, watching it back. Like, it was my fault. Like, he got out. If Scream just went and did our red, because you did our red buff, if he, like, contested you at red while I chased him, it would have been a lot better for us.
And I think Scream missed an auto, too, to kill him. Like, one auto.
I think he should have killed him. I remember watching it.
He missed, like, one auto on Thor, and he could have killed him. And then Sam, I remember he died for First Blood.
Yeah.
I remember hearing the crowd, like, cheering. We're all, like, laughing. We're like, dude, this is, like, it was so bad for them. Like, the whole crowd was like, yes, yeah, First Blood. And we're all laughing. And we're like, dude, this is literally so, like, they're down off that.
I remember watching it and thinking, like, at first I was like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't chase him. And then
that was my fault for sure.
And then, but then I remember I'm like, oh, that was actually a good call. They're gonna feed Scream the first blood, and I remember he missed the auto, and I was like, oh no, this is really bad.
And it took so long because Salt missed 2 solo waves at least for that. At least.
I don't know if it was an auto on him. I think maybe
He missed an auto.
I think Ven might have been out of range of an ability too, or something like that. I don't remember what it was.
Ven came late and just lasted him. He threw the meatball. And
you know what was funny about that scenario though? It actually gave me a flashback to season 4 Worlds. I don't know if you guys watched our finals that closely, but like what Ice Baby used to do in EU that I thought like it's like a weird way to phrase it, but I actually thought like people started to play the map like more freely. Like the whole reason I had the idea of invading the speed through the duo side of the map when I had first like done it myself, again, not saying I started, but just from my own point of view, like, was because Ice Baby used to do that to us in season 4 Worlds. He used to invade back harpies to back harpies.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
He would go through the Phoenix, and we actually first blooded him in the first game, and it was because we caught him coming up our red towards mid harpies, and Panda and I had duo pressure, so we came over and we saw him, and we're like, oh, kill this guy, and we first blooded him, and then we watched like. We felt like the game was easy just because we were confident, but we watched back the game like right after to see what he was doing, and we're like, oh, like we're actually behind like off this. And I remember thinking that for that invade meta where I was like, the amount of time that guy is wasting and denying our farm, like you can't scoreboard watch like kills like that because it is actually the amount of time that people bought. Like when that happened with Sam and he bought that much time, I instantly was like, they're gonna be on the back.
Especially when you have your whole own jungle, right? Because your whole team is in your side of the jungle. Like I said, scary, like 2 free waves in.
It just gets worse too because I think I think this kind of always applied to Sam as a player. Like once Sam had a good start in a game, he was pretty much always playing hyper carry characters. Yeah, you guys would start steamrolling really hard. So I remember once you guys had a good start, I remember they would force fights on duo, and I was just like, from my perspective, I thought Cyclone was such a big part of your guys' team. Like any game Cyclone got ahead, there was a really high chance they were going to win that game. And I remember like you guys just made Cyclone's game impossible, and I was just like, they can't play.
I remember it was weird because like that Worlds and the PK Worlds both, like I wasn't playing that way at all. And then I was like, I'm just gonna camp duel. I'm just gonna sit here and just camp duel in like 24/7. I'm just gonna sit here the whole game basically. And it wasn't even something that we even practiced. I was like, I just feel like it's good, like randomly. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, it just ended up being good.
It's kind of why, like, from my perspective, like, because I've been on both ends of it to some extent, like, from my end of it, it's actually not the best feeling to be like when we were on Ghost, for example, I think we were really good at what we did, but you knew what we were going to do. Like, there was never a question, like, I was going to do what I wanted to do, and we were going to pick for it, and we were going to try to win the game off of it. But, like, when you get to that point where you're like, oh, like, maybe they haven't seen, like, this adjustment, or maybe we can try this against them, like, when you're unprepared for something, it kind of does, like when you're saying galaxy braining, like you look back at it and you're so annoyed because you're like, oh my God, why do we overthink that? But like you're kind of forced in that spot because you're like, wait, like if this is the first time we're seeing this, like do we have to over adjust or whatever? And it really does mess with you a good bit, I think.
It's just hard to predict what the opponent's going to do, especially for like your set. Like what are they going to do in response to this? They've never seen it before. Like what are they going to do?
Yeah, I felt like, dude, if I just one change of relics there, like we kill him on our own speed, and we're in such a good spot. But like that's how that meta
honestly,
was.
the
like
game
just one little thing.
The game might have literally been over.
It
like,
could have been.
If you first put him on your speed like that, you would have gotten the speed too.
And I wouldn't have gotten red, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It just dictated so much, like the little things, and like. That was like one thing I was like, dang, I went Sunder that game. That was so bad. Like if I just went horrific.
That's the thing that's annoying though. Is like you just
so dumb.
You just also never know because like there's a world where Sam doesn't even like come to your jungle like that, you know, and then like maybe you do try to fight and you miss a kill because you don't have the Sunder. Like like,
exactly.
You just never know.
Exactly. The other thing was I wanted to talk about a little bit before Worlds. Is one thing I like doing. I don't know if you guys ever did it during the regular phase. I don't remember, but when I played Herc, I guess it was more of like a Herc exclusive thing. Is instead of invading, like, because I remember I saw people starting to like de-up their speed buff and like making it a lot harder for people to get in. So what I would start doing is like the thing where I would loop around as well, but. To add on to that, I would just gank lanes at level 1 as
I was gonna say, that's what I remember.
You did that. You tried that to us, I remember as well.
Yeah, because
I got it from him for sure. Yeah,
I remember I was like, we played Dig, and I was like, you'll see me in dual lane, in a game, you'll see me in mid lane in a game. I told him before the set, I'm like, I'm gonna be there, so you guys better be ready. And I literally,
that's a good hurry too.
Yeah,
so you know he's
I literally show up. I think it was like game 1. I show up dueling. I just push. Who was the hunter? Ataraxia.
Yeah.
I push Ataraxia. Herc push him. We kill him for first blood. Game 2, load in is Herc again. I go mid. I push Herwin. He dies for first blood, and I'm like, I guess.
I told you guys. I told you.
I remembered stealing that from you.
Yeah.
I remember watching it, and I was talking to Twig was still my jungler, so I remember talking to Twig about it, and he was saying like, oh, like, is it not better than just invading speed? And I was like, well, it's actually kind of interesting because like, if like, let's say the enemy jungler is a Hunbots, I'd rather invade the speed because I'm not worried about dying to that guy at level 1. Like if you're like Hunbots like Khepri or something, I'm not that worried about dying to them. But then I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting though, because if he's a Herc and it's like Aurora on Herc, or it's like one of the 3 of us like that you're against, you're expecting them to come to the speed. So like, if you're all overplaying that side of the map, if I just don't, because you would do, I think you used to hug the inside of the Gold Fury pit, to, like try to hide from the hunter who was at purple. And I remember thinking like, in a way, he's actually psyching them out because they haven't seen him now. And now they're going to overplay their speed, or like they're going to be
they're so caught up in you going.
They're going to be cautious of it, and then like it's not only that, but the mind fuck from how I viewed it with Twig when I was talking to him about it was like, it's not only that, it's that once you're not at that speed, they all relax because they're like, oh, they're not doing the start that we're worried about, that we're like protecting against. So then everyone like chills, and then bam, you just get Herc pushed, and they're just dead. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, in a weird way, it's kind of funny because like, you have to protect the jungler, but also you needed your mid and your ADC to like start get wave prio, so you could like contest the red, contest like whatever. And they have to push up. Like if they don't push up, you and Cyclone would just get ahead.
Like you're just losing pressure for no reason. You're
exactly.
Why would I do that?
And then that's where it became really easy. I remember I did that play against Dig. It was that's when every team didn't know where I was because they would be looking everywhere for me, and then I could just show up anywhere, and they'd be like, "Oh shoot!" and it would work because they would never be expecting like where I was at.
And that's powerful too, because after you do that once, all of a sudden they're like,
they start warding like random spots.
You have to watch out for too many things as well, and there's part of it too is like if you're playing too reactive and too safe, like you're getting a lot of power just being like, he can be a duo, I have to play around that. He could still be coming to speed somehow. We have to be careful about that.
That whole thing is why I enjoyed the meta so much, was because I felt like you were really, like you guys said, you're really able to like play chess and move things around. And also like, I don't know if you guys did this as much. I remember we did it for sure because we used to overplay solo really hard that year. Like we had Alec play a bunch of like janky picks, and like he would be a carry player for us on that team. Twig and I would camp his lane pretty hard. And I remember like at one point early in the stages of the invade was you would invade speed, and then the support sometimes there was like a little mini meta where Totem first came out, and you'd invade speed and then you'd go solo to get like Totem pressure. So me and the solo laner, we'd like 2v2 for a bit. Yeah. And then I remember you started doing that duo stuff, and then like suddenly like I remember it was against Renegades. Raffer would protect the speed, and then I would go gank one of the lanes like you had done, and then he would go to that lane. And then I remember the very next game against them, I would just go run to the speed, and they would know I was there. But then he was conditioned to go to duo, and I just went solo, and I ganked Nika and just killed him, got Totem, and then Alec was fed, and like there'd be so many random things that you could do, and I felt like the ability to like
call it audible.
For me, the reason I loved playing support in those invade metas was not because like I want to grief people invade. It's like it was like the ultimate feeling of like being a playmaker. Like I felt like I could analyze a draft in a game and be like, you know what, like this lane, I think they're really like, it'd be like, I think they're really relying on this lane to like be a stable side of the map. Like I'm just gonna go ruin it. Like I'm just gonna ruin their lane.
And also just understanding how much you can like squeeze from a start. Because I remember one time like when we played in the finals in season 6, like you guys were just gonna let me do the speed or whatever. Like Alec was Thor, and you were just like, let's let him do the speed. And I was Circuit, and I like saw that no one's gonna be here. I'm like, I'm just gonna start on his blue. Because like that speed's still gonna be there. Like it's the ultimate goal because it gets up in the jungle. It's like I'll just start blue, and then I'll go speed, and then I'll go backs, and then like I'm getting everything because they're just not respecting it enough, you know. Like small things like that. Even though, and that's where understanding like the big picture is important in those metas, because you can't just be a follower. It must have been because I was Circuit.
Yeah, because I
went mid after and we killed.
You guys got screwed in game 1 because you had 2 good starts that got.
Oh yeah.
You guys got screwed because you had 2 good starts that got.
One game you started your Circuit too, and I literally said the game's over. I remember.
Yeah. I started for the fight, and then the fight got ruined because.
And I think we impaled you. And you died or something.
That was the second one. Yeah. So the first time I started my 2 because we wanted to fight you guys. Yeah. and Panda Cat's like Persephone abilities didn't work, so we restarted the game.
Yeah.
But you knew I had the 2. Nothing had happened yet.
Yeah.
And then the second game, we basically did the same thing, and they killed me for it.
Yeah.
And then we had to.
And we got like speed and stuff.
Yeah. And the game was over on the spot, and Panda literally could not use the Persephone ability, so they had to remake. So they got screwed over. And I remember in the next game, it really sucked because like the draft is different because there's no Persephone.
Yeah.
Like everything's different. I was like, Alec, why don't we just like go start their blue? Like, why don't we like just change it up completely? Like, let's just go start their blue. Let's just get you ahead. Like, because there's some like the other thing I liked about it is like, I don't know if you guys had this as much, but Alec for me was a player like I just wanted to get him rolling a little bit. So like that, like me and Max felt pretty comfortable because we had already been in Worlds Finals before. Same thing with Twig. Like he had like played in Worlds Finals before. So for Alec, I'm just going to get this dude rolling. Like game 1, I'm just going to get him going. I went to go do that, and I remember you had done our blue, and I was like, fuck, that was really smart. Because like we just left him completely. We just do it, whatever you wanted.
Because I always found those metas were rewarding just because like if you understood like why you were doing things as opposed to just like I'm just going to copy this guy's doing, like you had a much more like big ability to squeeze the starts, right?
Not to be toxic, but I don't think it matters anymore. The funniest thing was when I had played with Hurry, like a couple years later, the funniest thing was him telling me stories of Tricks Tank.
I love those.
Dude, if you watched any of us do the invade, like I said, the whole point was just to buy time. So we would just walk up and just start whacking the jungler, just hitting it, being annoying. And Tricks would he would just watch, and then he would try to steal, and if he didn't get it, he would just waddle away. He's sad, would waddle away. And like they would like try to explain, he's like, I don't get it. Like it's just I don't get it. I just like if I don't get the buff, what am I doing? You know, type of thing. And it was so funny.
Yeah. I remember hearing a story about that like a few days before Worlds, the season 6 one. Like just like invade meta, games are getting F6, they're like Diggs double block, and I remember hearing someone was just like they just after like the speeder sling, Tricks is like, I don't know what I'm doing. What is going on?
Poor guy, man.
I remember at Worlds watching him. Like he was I think it was against Twig. He was playing Hebo jungle, and I had tried to invade against Hebo before, and I was like, this is brutal, bro. He just literally kills me with water cannons while he does the speed, and he just like does not care. Always securing me, just kills me. I can't do anything. And I saw Tricks as Jing Chen go to invade Twig, and I was like, this guy's about to like find out how like that is like the one of the worst characters you can invade on, and like in my experience at that time, like one of the worst gods you could even try it against because he just slams you.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not going to be good.
In my opinion, you could also tell what players were like really paying attention to detail in that meta because like the good junglers would also pull the speed, and if I went to contest, they would make me tank the speed buff. Like they would leash it to me and make me take damage, and then they would start hitting me and like try to reverse it. And that's why I learned like I'm not trying to get the speed. Like I'm not trying to do this. I'm just burning time. I learned that like that was like the first week of Scream. I'm like, can't do that.
Scream would literally practice. Like I remember I practiced with Scream. Like he'd practice out securing me, like with like learning all the auto attack animations of like the supports, so he can like time his auto attack to exactly get the buff. And I remember he did it. I don't know if he was Robin or so. We played against you guys.
Yeah, I remember.
And he out-secured you every single game and every single speed buff. Yeah, at the start of the game. And he's like, it's just that easy.
Yeah, I do.
Easy money.
Yeah, he loved it. Exactly, easy money.
You know what was funny? Before that, I don't know if he told you this. I had literally made him rage quit a ranked game that week. I saw him streaming. I'm like, I'm playing this guy. I'm just going to get his head. So I invaded him, and I did the thing where like, I invaded his speed in ranked, and like I didn't always invade in ranked, but when their like mid trio core was SPL players, I'm like,
fair game.
I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Like, you know what I'm doing, you know how to stop it. Like, I don't care if you think it's lame. I'm doing it. It's good practice for me. So I did it, and they tried to stop it, and I ended up. He got the speed, he secured it, but I put him to 1 HP. It was actually the next week because I was annoyed that he secured it. So it was the next week I tried to just tilt him. So he secured it and I put him to 1 HP. And he had to back. He couldn't do anything else. He had to back. And I literally like I remember like explaining it to him. I don't know if you guys watch Star Wars, but there's like in like the Phantom Menace or something, there's like a scene where like these like gates come out and it's just like Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, they're staring at each other. And I equated that. I literally stood at his mid Phoenix and I waited to see him come out of base. I'm literally watching him. I'm level 1.
Standing there.
I'm waiting for him to come to me. I'm like, you got to do something, buddy. And he double backs. He starts to go solo side. He tried to juke me. He didn't juke me. And then he sees me at where his like speed buff is, and he tries to blink to blue buff. and I literally 180 blink to the blue buff with him. I blink with him, steal the blue buff. He literally turned off his stream. He left the game, and turned off the stream. That was my favorite game that whole year. I loved it.
Funny.
It was the most satisfying thing ever.
Yeah, my favorite thing is I queued with Sino and I invaded adapting as Herc.
Oh my god,
Wonderful.
And I put him so far behind. That was like one of the classic adapting moments. And he's in every time Sino was playing like Kern dual lane or I can't remember. Sino was playing Kern. I can't remember if he was jungle.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember if he was jungler or dual lane, but he was playing Kern. And every time Sino missed an ability on adapting, he'd be like, "This guy won worlds. This guy won worlds." Like he was freaking out. It was so funny. But I kept him at like level 2 for like 6 minutes. It was the greatest thing.
That was my favorite. I remember the first time I remember invading Sino. I'm pretty sure he had never seen it before. Like, it was like those early days of that season. And I am invading Sino, and I am just having the time of my life. Because I know Sino, and he is... And you can see it when he plays. You can see him raging, like, when he runs around. I remember I'm literally, like, just owning him. I'm like, RDO, he's Erling. I'm like steal his speed. He rows the red, hit him down to, like, low, steal the red. And then, like, I'm just, like, laughing. Like, this guy... And they're, like, F6ing. Aurora is so tilted. And then he finally gets in a position, and he kills me, like, in dual lane. And he's standing on my spam taunting me. My team just comes and kills him, and I'm like just laughing. Like, this guy, like, I'm like so in his head, man. I loved it so much.
Dude, RDO securing buffs. Sorry to interrupt you, but RDO 3 to secure red.
It's so funny.
You dash through it. It's the best feeling.
And
in the
you're just
world.
like rooting them too. They try and leave after you, root them, and they're like, dude, really? Like, come on.
Dude, I remember my biggest jungler. It wasn't Kenneth was a good one in rank, but for me it was Cherry because we scrimmed them a lot that year. I remember Cherry and I have a good relationship now. He's been my coach for the past couple years. He does not want to talk about that year at all. He never was, because, dude, I remember we had scrims against him. And my favorite part about that invade meta too, by the way, that I forgot to bring up, I liked getting to the point where I didn't even have to pick for it. I loved it when I got to do it with like Khepri and Fafnir and stuff. And I remember there was a scrim against them where they tried to set up the death trap or whatever that they did to you. And I played Khepri. And I came in, but I went in so late that they didn't think they had to stop me. Nika like went to lane or whatever. And I come in and I like, instead of like getting my 2 or my 1 or anything, I got my 3. And I was going like blink Khepri back then. And I 3 the speed buff, and as the
Blink auto,
Dardes was playing Ullr, or no, he's playing on her. Of course, Dardes was playing on her. He was playing on her, and Dardes is about to come. He's like, I'm just gonna kill this guy, of course. And as my 3's in the air, I blink out, get the speed buff, instant F6. Instant F6, and they're like, we're done scrimming. And then Nika goes, sorry, but we're done. And then Dardes whispers me. I used to troll him all the time because I'd just like dive him after the speed start or something like that just for fun to kill him. And Dardes whispered me, you've shattered him. I loved it so much.
I remember loading into games because we were notorious, like, we were running at your blue. We're gonna run at your blue, or we're picking one, we're running at it, and I would play Bacchus, and I'd load into scrims against them, and I'd message Nika because I played the Cascade. I'd message him Meowza, and I would just show up at his blue every time, and he's like, dude, every time I locked in Bacchus, he's like, here it comes. I'm like, Meowza. It was so good, man.
That's awesome.
Those were the best days. I'm just at Nika's blue, and then my Smurf, I will be getting coup, just snipe the Nika coup.
That was such a good
run
Smurf
to his
name.
like coup every time. Oh man,
Dude,
those are the good old days.
PK and Renegades or SS, they were Renegades,
They were
right?
Renegades, yeah.
PK and Renegades, whenever I played Herc, for some reason,
And PK was the not Neil's team for the right.
yeah, it was adapting
Zero
vote.
team.
Yeah. Those two teams, whenever I played Herc against them, for whatever reason, they would get hit by every single one of my Herc 2s.
Had to.
Like late game, I would literally walk into a team fight, and I'd be like, Dardes is just gonna walk into. All I have to do is press it, and I know I'm plucking him. Like I would just pluck towards his direction. He'd be playing like Discordia. He'd like walk back, and then he'd walk back into him. Like I guess I plucked him again. Like. And then my favorite person to play against that year was Vote, because he'd always message me NT every single time I missed any ability against him.
That's awesome.
The entire game. Like if I missed one Herc pluck, NT. If I missed one RDO stun, NT. If I missed one RDO tick of my 3, NT. He would do it without fail multiple times in a game.
That's awesome.
Like I missed one ability, NT instantly to me. And I would always laugh, and every time he'd kill me, he would send me like some like crazy DM message. He'd be like, "You are
so
so
funny.
trash." Like, it was actually my favorite person to play against.
Dude,
in
they
the
took
entire
it so
year.
personally. Like,
Gave me an NT in scrims the other day.
huh?
Liam gave me an NT in scrims the other day. It was so funny. It was, and then I remember like he gave me. I don't even remember what it was for. Like he gave me an NT, and then he literally like whiffed an ult really bad on me. He messaged me, he goes, "Dude, just say it. Say it back. Just say it how you want to." It's so funny.
That's too good. Dude, I don't know if I message people in scrims anymore.
What is NT? NT means nice try.
Yeah, nice try.
try.
Nice try. Yeah. Dude, I remember the only person, for some reason, I loved messing with not the jungler. I would never message the jungler. But I loved messing, like for the Renegades, it was Dardas. I would just mess with him whenever like Cherry had a bad start. And I'd literally steal the speed and say, "See you in 30 seconds." I'd come dive. Dude, I remember I use like it's like a cutesy Baron avatar or something in Smite.
Mm-hmm.
I used it, and when it came out, he used it too because Dardas used to like Baron. And I used it, and I literally this is how dumb our scrims were in that meta. First scrim of the day, I said, "First one to die loses the avatar," and gets right to it. I'm not trolling. Level 2, I blinked over him under tower, killed him, absolutely inted for it. The first thing I messaged him is, "Take it off right now." I was laughing so hard. Twig was so annoyed. He's like, "What are you doing, man?"
That is so funny, man.
Had to.
The other thing I guess we could talk about, it's not so much in season 6, season 7. You got the first like sick Herc pull, and it was on me, which is
the
funny.
blink pluck?
The
Yeah.
blink pluck. Did you ever get any blink plucks?
I did it, and it literally didn't. I think it might have been on you or against you. I did it, and like
You
the
did it in
game was
scrims, I
literally
thought, once.
over. I did it like in
I
a
do
game,
remember
and
it
it
was
was literally
season 6.
irrelevant.
I
because
remember
we were
now.
like gonna lose the game, and I was like, I just have to do something
did for
crazy.
fun, yeah.
I like to blink and push them into like Titan room, and then I instant die, and we lose the game.
Do you remember the one I did? I think I got you like 3 times that year somehow.
You did. You got me. You got me in the finals.
I was gonna say
once.
if you remembered that one.
You got me on Kuzumbo, I think, once in mid.
mid,
the
yeah.
mid tower.
I remember that one was sick.
And then
you
you-
did it as well to him, I think, didn't you?
I did
He's
to Raffer.
definitely done it in scrims. I know
Yeah,
that.
I remember you did it in mid once as Hurricane. It was insane.
I remember the first game I tried to do it in SPL was actually in season 6. I never got one in
Yeah.
SPL in season 6, but I tried to do it to Andy when he was playing on her in
That's
mid.
good.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Dude,
that was.
I did it at Worlds Qualies when a seeding match against Sanguine at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch that game back, I literally said, "Let's just run at these guys and just like kill them." And we like did that. Like the game was so screwed, and it was just like a seeding match where we had both qualified for the season 6 one. And I remember Rongy's just in mid, and I just like slam him with it and push him in the tower. And I'm like, "Dude, like, did you just really do that?" And the camera literally missed it. There's like
No way.
no highlight of it, no nothing. I was like,
That's what I was gonna
"Dude,
say.
come
The
on."
one against
Literally missed
them
it.
in the finals, we were up 1-0 in that set, and I played Hurt game 2, and they're winning, and they're 5v5 coming to end the game. Our mid Phoenix is down, and the camera literally doesn't even see it because we're chaos side, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the perspective of the spectator is from order, so they're sieging into our base, and there's like that mid wall, and I remember planning it with my team. I'm like, I'm going to try to 2-blink someone. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, it's the only way we're going to defend. And I remember he was Kepri, and he walked in to tank the Titan, and they were about to all in it. I literally 2-blink plucked him into the fountain to save the game. We literally would have lost if I didn't do it.
That was crazy.
I had to hit it, and I had to kill him to get it. And I was, dude, the spectator didn't see it at all. I remember checking like after the set later
you
that
see
night.
on the mini map that looks so funny.
They didn't see it all, and I was even more sad because I don't know if we won that fight or what, but I know we stalled the game and then we lost anyways. And I was like, dude, that would have been like
Insane.
It would have been like one of my
Crazy
favorite.
play.
Would have been one of my favorite memories where I'm like, I have to do this to save the game, and then you do it. It's like such a cool memory. But yeah,
I have one of those on Liam. I remember that. It was like the Rama, and I remember it was in Space Station, and like they literally dove our right Phoenix, and like Raffer blinked, Kuzma ulted Steve, and Steve is Cupid, and he like dashes and gets his dash caught, and he dies. We're down 4v5, and they have fire. And all I remember is Ronnie's like, I got like Rama beads. Like Rama beads are down, and I was like, this is literally like the only thing we can do. Like we have to do this right now. I'm just gonna blink Stoic, pluck him, and like if we get it, like maybe we have a chance. And I remember I'm like, everyone just like follow me. And then I see him like walk out of like between like right Phoenix to like mid Phoenix, the little jungle corner. And I see him for a second. I was like, blink, pluck him in. I remember talking to the guy, like the Space Station boys, like Dardes, Vote and Neek, and they're all saying like they're really talking about, okay, just don't let this guy like blink pluck me and like it's over. And then like it just happened. There's like, dude, what? It reminds me of what you were saying earlier too, like talking about as long as this doesn't happen, it's fine. It happens, like, dude.
Maybe we're speaking it into existence. I don't know. Must be.
I'm lucky.
I was muted the other day for a scrim, like in the first like few minutes, and like I just had no idea, and we were just owning, and I was like, maybe I should just like not talk or like what, like what's going on?
Dude, I hate when I'm muted. Like, I literally don't like. I've been muted sometimes. Like, I accidentally press my mute cue on my mic, and I'm muted for like the first couple minutes, and like everybody sounds like they're responding to the things I'm saying. Like I'm talking, and they're like, inside I was like, "Yo, Aurora, are you muted?" I'm like, "What? I'm muted?"
I had that happen.
Oh my god!
The, like first couple weeks of scrimming with this team, because sometimes I'll mute my mic to like if like Leah comes in and asks me a question or something like that, and I forget what it was that I like muted for a second. I could have even coughed. Like who knows? And I remember I didn't talk, and at the end of the scrim, they're like, somebody's like, "Mike, are you tilted?" I was like, "What? Have you not just listened to everything I just said?" Like something like that. And I like checked to see if I'm muted, and I'm like, "There's just no way." It was like a 30-minute scrim, and I did not say a word. Did not say a word,
man.
And I was so confused too, because it was one of those games where I'm like, "Oh yeah, like we can kill this guy here," and like I start walking up. And they're following me. They're following me. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, it was crazy.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I do that on my stream all the time too. Like I'll be streaming. I don't even know I'm muted for like the first
I've done
like
so many
30 minutes.
That's brutal.
So many times.
So troll.
I remember my team was like, Luke was like, coach was telling me too. He's like, yo, like Neil, like you're muted or whatever. But his mic is like, I have him 200% Discord. His mic is just really bad. It's just quiet. And like I just didn't even hear him saying. He said it like 4 times. I'm like, oh my mute. He's like, dude, I've been telling you for like 2 minutes.
That's
you've been muted.
funny.
Oh my god.
Awesome.
Oh man.
That's unlucky.
I remember one game we were talking about the other day, like your team. I bought a new headset or whatever, and like when you load into Smite or whatever, like I didn't have the input change, so I literally had no audio.
Oh, yeah,
I played
yeah.
15 minutes of a scrim with no game sound at all.
I remember that.
And I remember
that was last year, right?
Yeah, and I get Huyi marked, and I'm trying to I'm like faffing, I'm like trying to juke the Huyi like one, like listening for it, like getting ready to jump, and I was like, dude, like I can't hear anything. Like, what the hell? And it's like 15 minutes in the game. I was like, have I been playing this game for 15 minutes with no sound?
I remember being so confused because he insta-dies, and they basically lose the game off it because we like get gold or whatever the scenario was. But I remember like we basically won the game off like a random sequence. And I remember your teammates messaged me, and they're like, "Idiot's been muted for 15 minutes." I'm like, how is that possible? Yeah. I'm like, they got it. I'm like, either A, they're lying, or B, that guy's dumb.
It was so funny, dude. It was so funny.
How do you not notice it? Do you guys play with
I used
music
to play
on?
with music on, and like my game audio has always been kind of low. Because when people would be crying at Worlds, I can't hear anything. I'm like, dude, I never hear anything anyways. Like, it's fine.
That's funny. It's funny because I feel like you and Moswell are like the 2 people that played with music that I know of at least.
I played with it.
Did Moswell
all
play
the
with
time.
music in tournaments?
Yeah, Moswell liked playing with music as well.
really?
I never played with it in tournaments.
I don't know if
but
he
always
played
for
with
practice.
it in tournaments, but yeah, in practice as well.
Yeah. I think Wooney used to. I don't know if he still does.
I remember
I can't do it.
My Spotify Wrapped used to be absurd because I would literally I would have music on all the time, screaming, doing whatever. It was like 120,000 hours, stuff like that. I'm like, dude, what? Or like minutes or whatever it is. It was a lot. That I'm like, dude, it's because I was listening to it all the time.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of don't listen to it as much anymore. Music when I'm screaming as much anymore.
Yeah, I can't listen while I play because like I just get overstimulated.
Yeah,
I get so over because I feel like I have to like I don't have to, but I end up talking a lot during games, and I'm like, if I'm talking and trying to think and I'm listening to my teammates and the game and the music, like I'm just like freaking out.
My music's always pretty quiet as well, like my game sound. I like the sound of my own voice.
But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have. I don't know how long we've even been going here.
How long have we been
It's
going?
almost 10 o'clock. That's not.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Sorry, Billy. My apologies to the chef.
Thanks for sticking around though.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I love
appreciate
hanging
it
out with
for
you guys. Like I could do this all day.
Yeah, it's a good time. We'll definitely have you back on at some point down the line.
I would love to.
Great,
I feel like there's a lot of different things we could talk about.
So many things.
You know what I was thinking? Maybe we could do like. I want to have a lot of people back on. Like I know Aggro last week. We had a long episode with him. Maybe we could start doing like some dual episodes where we bring like 2 people in.
That'd be really cool.
fun.
I would love that.
Yeah, like past guests we had on.
Yeah, that'd
share
be
more.
cool.
But yeah,
I could talk shop all day. Honestly,
it's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good time. I love it.
But yeah, thanks again, especially considering. I mean, we just played a best of 5 before this too. So.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I've been wanting to come on for a while and just hang out with you guys, just in general.
Yeah,
spend
you
time
were
with
just
you guys,
coaching. You were dodging us.
Yeah, I was
We
dodging
actually-
you. Yeah,
We were actually gonna have Neil on when he was here for the last LAN because we didn't know if he was gonna be back anytime
Yeah.
soon. I forget something
I got
happened.
sick.
Oh, you
I
got sick.
Oh, right.
Yeah. We planned to have him on, and then we missed that week's episode because Mike got sick.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out because you ended up playing, so it was like
Dude,
a lot easier to get.
I
you
didn't.
into
Yeah,
the
I wasn't even planning on
studio.
playing. We can talk about that next time, though. I literally had no plans about playing at all, and then I got a
Why
DM. I'm
not?
like,
Well, maybe. But yeah, anything you want to plug? Your Twitter, Twitch, all that good stuff.
Sure. I think my Twitter's at NeilMah, Neirumah, and then my Twitch is just at NeilMah.
It should be in the title if
Yeah,
I
it should be,
spelled
yeah.
it right.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, just whoever, all my fans and all the people who just like Smite, just thanks for supporting the community and me, and thanks for you guys for hosting this show. It's awesome you guys are doing this. I'm really happy that there's like just another bit of Smite content out there for people who really like it, and you guys obviously do an amazing job. So thanks to you guys for doing this and putting in extra work. It's
Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Also, echo the shout out on the community part. It's definitely nice to see
100%.
see how like receptive everyone's been and enjoying it a lot. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Same plan, I think, as far as the two of us now to be back next week. You can get every episode normally on Thursdays or something like that on my YouTube at PBM Smite, and then on Spotify at
Usually
Inside
on
SPL.
Wednesdays on Spotify, I think, as well.
There you go. Yeah, sometime in the middle of the week,
Yeah.
you'll get it, you know. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We will see you next Sunday. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
One If I'm Trolling from Professor BM. You can hear the audience. I wonder if